Hello, everybody. Welcome to DCU Daily. Here we are. We don't have a ton of news, but we do have some big news. The biggest news of today is something I'm very excited to talk about is Zach Krieger's next film, which will be not really an adaptation, but more of a parallel story in the world of Resident Evil that has finally dropped. It is about it's looking brutal, it's looking visceral, and it looks like a ton of fun. We'll see what the Resident Evil fans are thinking about this, but we are going to be getting into that first and foremost. And then the next thing we're going to be talking about is box office stuff, what the box office will look like in the coming future over the summer. In addition to that, some additional box office stuff in regards to projections for the next Star Wars film in theaters, Mandalorian and Grogu, and then a little bit about the next Monsterverse movie, which is in fact Godzilla X Kong Supernova, and then a little bit more Project Hail Mary glazing. Then we have a bit of TV Talk Terror, talk about more Scooby-Doo Origins, as well as some things getting renewed and canceled. Then a bit of MCU Weekly. We have more reactions to Brand New Day. We have maybe a possible production mistake, maybe something more, I don't know, on Daredevil Born Again. Then a couple things in regards to Brand New Day. We've got Scorpion, Evangeline Lilly calling out Marvel about laying off people. And then a bit of an update on Wonderman Season 2. Then we have our quick hits. Then we have a couple things in regards to DCU Daily. Again, not a ton. This was a very, very slow news day, and we didn't think to do a Q&A or, do a hot take debate, but that's okay. We are still going to be chugging along. We have some quick hits. We have some lanterns. Two different types of lanterns to be talked about. So we're going to be doing all of that and more after this wonderful intro. So let's get Knuff and let's get going on DCU Daily.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding. You're kidding. I can't open the envelope without
God. Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gents. Nobody in the chat right now, but I am your host, John. Dan will be running late again today, but that's all right. We are going to have a grand old time with or without him. So let's put on the right color that I keep forgetting to do, and let's get this party started. So, of course, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we are going to be talking about Resident Evil, which I'm excited about, even though I have not played a single Resident Evil game, but I love Zach Krieger. I am a Zach Krieger simp, super fan, stan, whatever the word is that the kiddos are using nowadays to describe an ultimate fan, because I really liked Barbarian. I loved Weapons, so I'm here for more Zach Krieger love, whether, the Resident Evil fans like it or not, but it was a very short teaser trailer. We only got a few glimpses of what we are going to expect with this parallel storyline adaptation of Resident Evil. It has been, the synopsis I think was revealed a while ago, but to remind people, Resident Evil, this version of Resident Evil is going to be a parallel storyline to Resident Evil 2, with Austin Abrams' character trying to deliver something and the zombie virus comes about in Raccoon City, so he has to survive. That's essentially it, and he sees all sorts of strange monsters and zombies from the actual games, as well as some new ones. So this I'm very excited for. We do get a little bit of pretty much just get that idea showcased here. Austin Abrams, he has been in this project, and then Zach Kruger's last project, Weapons, where he played the drug addict character. I forgot his name, but he is going to be playing the main character here, which I'm very excited about. It shows his range as an actor, and honestly, I think I'm growing to like Austin Abrams a lot more. And because he definitely showed like a very different side to him that wasn't showcased previously, but I think we're going to see bright things from him in the near future, whether he is with Zach Krieger or not. So yeah, I'm stoked for this. I remember we talked about, there were some test screenings on whether or not these were true, that it was essentially a 90-minute thrill ride. It was kind of like described as a visceral horror Mad Max Fury Road, where it's just like this guy gets this package and has to deliver it. I think it's to the Umbrella Corporation. I'm not sure. But I just realized, it's a movie talk madness time, not regular news time. So I'm stoked for this. This was a great trailer. It gives you just enough to make it work, but not too much to over inundate you with too much information. I will say the one thing that was brought up, because I know Resident Evil fans have been very mixed. There are some fans that are like, you know what? I agree. If I want Leon's story, if I want Claire's story, if I want Jill's storyline, if I want Chris Redfield's storyline, I will go and play the games. Meanwhile, give me something new in this world that I can enjoy, that can be canonical to the games, but is essentially its own thing. Meanwhile, there are a lot of fans that don't really like this. They're like, even though it looks like a good movie, this is not Resident Evil. If you never revealed the title, I never would have guessed it's Resident Evil, so what's the point? And so there has been those two very proponent like viewpoints. I can kind of see both. I'm more on the idea, like, I like the idea of like, oh, it just takes place in the world, it doesn't take place as an adaptation of the game. Well, that's what I liked about the Super Mario Brothers game movies, because they don't adapt just one element. It's kind of like a grab bag elements of all sorts of games and thrown into one, and if for the most part is a cohesive narrative, more with the first one than the second one. But I will say I really like this idea. The only thing that's a little bit troubling, because as I mentioned, it does take place during the events of Resident Evil 2, which is very different from the rest of Resident Evil Nemesis and 4, 5, 6, 7 Village, whatever the hell it is. So, and it has like completely different viruses, so they feel different. So I know there are some people that are like, hey, the continuity between that is a little bit awkward. Like, you're like, is this canonical, or is this canonical to the events of Resident Evil, but like not in the way that it actually is? And someone else actually brought this up. They're like, okay, so Resident Evil 2 takes place in 1998, yet during the trailer, we see Austin Abrams using an iPhone, a very current gen iPhone, or like a Samsung, clearly a smartphone. I don't know if it's an iPhone specifically, so it's like, hang on, this is supposed to take place in 1998, yet you're using a smartphone. So how do you make that work? So either it's one of two things. Either it's just it was a production mistake and there was a flub up, kind of like what happened with the Texas Chainsaw 3D. I was supposed to, it takes place in modern day, yet the math ain't mathing in terms of like the baby, it like she shouldn't be this age in modern day, and it just doesn't work. So it's either a production flub up and Zach Krieger didn't think about that, which I highly doubt, because he doesn't seem like the type of filmmaker that would just let that go. Or second, this is essentially Resident Evil 2, but it would take place in modern day. Like, essentially, even though it and the remake both take place in 1998, because it's like 9 months after the first game, and I believe Nemesis takes place concurrently with Resident Evil 2 as well. So they're like, yeah, it's just kind of like Resident Evil 2, but it takes place in modern day, hence using modern stuff. So essentially, it's like it's Resident Evil 2 specifically, that storyline, but it's like it takes place in modern day, so it's technically canonical to the games, but also technically not because it's modernized. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if like he answers this or not. But yeah, I'm still excited for it. I think we're gonna get a very engaging horror flick. Um, so you know, this definitely looks great. He also co-wrote the film with Shay Hatton. As we know, this does not have Leon Kennedy or Jill Valentine or Chris Redfield in it. Um, and with all of this, obviously we have the previous Resident Evil films. You had the Mia Jovovich movies that were barely like the games. Then you had Welcome to Raccoon City, which was a lot like the games, but people still hated it. And then you had the show, which apparently was also really bad. I don't know, I never watched it. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for this one. Now Zach Krieger did go on a bit in terms of what to expect and was talking about the trailer and the film when it got released. So Zach Krieger explains Austin Abrams' Resident Evil character is an avatar for me. He's perfect for it. I apologize if it's not zoomed in all the way and you can't see it. It's again, my browser has been acting wonky the past few days where I can't like zoom in on stuff after a certain point. I don't know, it's weird. But yeah, Texas Chainsaw 3D is pretty bad though. Nowhere to go but up with those movies. I mean, Curry Barker is handling the next movie, so we'll see. So Zach Krieger prepares to unleash his take on the Resident Evil. Actually, you know what? Let me see if I can correct this because it looks like it's just not working. Hang on a sec. And there we go. All right, now hopefully you guys can see this a little bit better. Much better. So as Zach Krieger prepares to unleash his take on the Resident Evil franchise, he's introducing a new character, Raccoon City. The horror writer and director whose Resident Evil movie premieres September 18th, that is when it's releasing in theaters, recently explained why he chose to create an original character for the movie instead of trying to retread stories the video games do such a great job of telling. I wanted to tell a story that could take place in the Resident Evil world, but wasn't telling a story that the games had already told. To me, I would feel like there's kind of a no winning there if I were to tell Leon's story because the games do such a great job. It would be kind of redundant, ultimately, I think disappointing. So I would rather just kind of celebrate everything I love about the games by telling the story that could exist on the sidelines of one of the games. So I think he's saying with that, what could exist, like it could be part of Resident Evil 2, but maybe it's not because, as I was mentioning with the iPhone flub, it's probably intentional and how it just takes place concurrently with one of the games. Maybe it's not Resident Evil 2 specifically. So, we'll see how it goes on, because maybe that's what that's what originally what Zach Krieger wanted to do, because it does say it does say on the Resident Evil Wikipedia that it says it taking place in parallel to the events of Resident Evil 2, but maybe that was the original idea, but then Zach Krieger thought it would be easier to modernize it, so maybe, he just decided to say, screw it, I'm just gonna do a modern take, and it'll just be like a general idea of it taking place parallel to one of the games. So I would rather just kind of celebrate everything I love about the games by telling a story that could exist on the sidelines of one of the games. And now it's not. Okay. Well, now we got to go back to this one. Oh, wait, is this not working? Okay. So then he goes on to say, So the world of Resident Evil 2 that he said so he does say that specifically is kind of where this takes place, even though I'd make a couple little shifts for dramatic license. There we go. That's the continuity thing. It's just following a different person who's on a mission in this horrible night when things are going wrong in Raccoon City, and they've got to get something from point A to point B, and as they go, they encounter all sorts of things you would encounter in the games. In Krieger's Resident Evil, Austin Abrams stars as medical courier Brian, who has to fight for survival when a sudden outbreak occurs while he's making a delivery. Austin is very much like an avatar for me, or what I expect the average video game player would react if they were thrust into the game themselves. So he's just a normal guy. He's not particularly good at combat in any way, shape, or form. He's athletic, but he's not an athlete. He's just a guy. He's just a good-natured, hapless dude who gets sucked into a nightmare. And so it would be really fun to just think, how would I react authentically if I saw a mutant dog attack me? What would the gamut of emotion look like? And Austin's just so fun to watch. He's perfect for it. So as I mentioned, it's co-written by Shay Hatton, and it will come out this upcoming September 18th, and it'll include Zach Cherry, Callie Reese, Paul Walter Hauser, and John O. Wilson. So yeah, I think this is definitely a really good idea, and I really like this idea that Zach Krieger is taking. So essentially, it's Resident Evil 2, but if it was modernized, that's essentially what it is. So yeah, I think that's definitely a really cool idea. I have seen both sides where it's like some fans are like, oh yeah, I'm all for this. This is really cool. Take place in the world of the games. Awesome, great, love to see it. Some are just like, it looks like a good movie, but it's not Resident Evil, so what's the point? So there's that. But yeah, I think this looks like a lot of fun, and it would be cool to have maybe Leon Kennedy fucking show up for 2 seconds and just have a cameo, say a horrible one-liner like he usually does, and then kind of move on. So yeah, that is it for Resident Evil. I can't wait for the movie. I hope fans and non-fans alike are excited for it because it looks great. So yeah, I think it looks awesome. But next up, we have summer box office to talk about. So with all this, we've been kind of talking about box office the last few years, considering how like, oh, will it top pre-COVID numbers? Will it not? Will it ever go back to normal? It probably won't. But in terms of the money aspect, let's see how the math is mathing, because the summer 2026 box office could top 4.2 million. Here's what will hit and what may miss. So we do have a lot of this. So last year, the hopes of a fruitful summer box office free from the shackles of the pandemic or Hollywood strikes were dashed, as a handful of underperforming films kept the domestic total flat from the prior year at 3.6 million. But with a lineup filled with the higher quantity of films, highly anticipated franchise titles, and top films from Hollywood's most acclaimed directors, there are high expectations that this will be the best summer for theaters since before the pandemic, surpassing over $4 billion gross during the Barbenheimer summer of 2023. So we'll get into the numbers soon. In fact, box office analysis site The Numbers predicted that the domestic total for the summer period, which lasts from first Friday of May, which is about for people on the East Coast about 12 minutes, and then to Labor Day, which is the first weekend in September. It could top 4.2 million, a mark that the box office cleared in 4 out of 5 summers between 2015 and 2019. Also, hello, Elite Easy, lovely to see you. But here are the numbers. We'll zoom out a little bit. Here is the total numbers. So obviously 2020, it was like, God, it wasn't even like, if that's 4 billion, that's like, and that's 700. So it was like 700 million. So like $70 million in 2022. Jesus. So obviously 2018, 2019 were like 4.4, 4.3. And then it went immediately down because of COVID and then slowly rising up. And then in 2023, just purely because of Barbenheimer, it shot up. And now we kind of went back down to, 3.67, which was, God damn it, 3.67 in terms of 2024, 2025. So hopefully, the domestic box office number could be good because in 2025, there were films like Elio, M3gan 2.0. But now that we have things like Super Mario Galaxy, Project Hail Mary, Devil Wears Prada 2, a bunch of really good horror films that have been coming out, that are going to be coming out. Then you have Toy Story 5. You had Hoppers, who was doing really well. You have, Supergirl. You have, you have Spider-Man. That's probably going to help majorly. That's probably, boom, Billy. Exactly. So, yeah, I think it'll be a slow start because, while yes, we do have Mandalorian and Grogu, Devil Wears Prada 2, and Mortal Kombat 2. Michael is another one that's big. So, it's definitely gonna be a slow start, but I think it's gonna, get there eventually. Elio is such a good movie for kids. I'm not a kid, but I do appreciate it too. I haven't seen it, but I am doing my Pixar slash Steven Spielberg binge because Cool Kids is doing a ranking of all Pixar films after Toy Story 5 comes out. So hopefully we get to that soon. I did watch Onward. I thought it was kind of crap, not really all that great. And then I just watched Sugarland Express today, and that was also kind of crappy. So I'll get to Elio eventually, but hopefully I like it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Who knows? But yeah, May, as I said, it's mainly predominantly like horror stuff. I mean, yeah, it does have some good big things: Devil Wears Prada 2, Mortal Kombat 2, and Mandalorian and Grogu. Hopefully that will help zhuzh it up a little bit, but we'll see. Also, hi Dan. You missed the Resident Evil talk.
I know.
What
sorry.
a shame.
That
the biggest
sucks.
horror guy here missing the Resident Evil talk. What a shame.
I am so disappointed, man. You have no idea. It's just, I saw the trailer that one time and I thought it was great. It was the best Resident Evil trailer I've seen in a long time, so it was...
That's not saying much.
I know, but still. Even when the bar is that low, yeah, it's good. Anyway, continue. We were talking about the summer movie.
Yes, how we're talking about the slow start it will be for the beginning, kind of, getting the Michael stuff from last week into May, and then a couple sequels as well as, Star Wars. And we'll be getting into that next specifically. We've had a lot of really interesting... we're getting a lot of indie movies in May, as I said, a lot of horror movies. And it looks like it'll be in June where we're starting to get a lot of big IPs like Masters of the Universe, Toy Story 5, Scary Movie 6, Amazing Digital Circus, which is definitely lower, but how it is.
Is it a YouTube thing or it's
it's based on a YouTube miniseries of the same name. So yeah, and then obviously we have Steven Spielberg's upcoming Disclosure Day, which has Spielberg going back to Aliens for the first time in 21 years. So
I mean, that's a wild card from a box office perspective. That's what they're talking. Because I mean, look, Ready Player One made $600 million, but that was 2018, right? And if you look at everything Steven Spielberg's done since Ready Player One, I don't think any of his movies in that time, post-pandemic, have been... They're not blockbusters. They're great movies, Oscar-nominated movies, and I think a lot of them made decent money, but it's, some of them just barely made profit. But none of them were blockbusters. Like Steven Spielberg, because he's not just returning to Aliens with Disclosure Day, he's returning to the blockbuster movie making that, he first made famous with Jaws. So, I mean, to me, that's a big one. If that hits, then that could be the difference between, under 4 billion or over 4 billion over the course of the summer months, which is, I think, the number that they were quoting overall. But yeah, I think that's a big wild card.
Yeah, and then of course, we have Odyssey.
That's $1 billion. Minions is $1 billion.
And then we also have counter programming of Minions and Monsters around that time as well. So that's probably going to make at least close to $1 billion if people aren't sick of Minions already. So there's that as well.
Now they're in old age Hollywood. stars.
And then we have, Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is an easy billion. We have a little bit of
possibly 2 billion. John, quick question. Do you think Spider-Man, like the last one made 1.9, including the re-release? I think the original one was like 1.8 something, then the re-release later in the year brought it up to 1.9. Is there any chance Brand New Day gets, let's say anywhere close to that, 1.5
well,
billion?
I was confident enough to say that it won't get $1 billion. So if I say, oh yeah, it's definitely not going to get $2 billion, and then it fucking makes $2 billion. So like, I'm not saying shit anymore. I ain't predicting crap because clearly my numbers are way fucking off. So who the fuck knows? It's possible. Again, especially No Way Home was post-COVID, and that made a lot of fucking money. So I can see it getting very close. I think it'll maybe make like 1.8, like at like I could see that, maybe being at the most. I don't think it'll reach 2 billion, but again, I won't be shocked if it does reach that point. Like, oh, if it, the fucking first weekend is $500 million, and then the rest of it is smooth sailing, and then it gets to an easy 2 billion. I could see that, but I could also see like, people are excited for what's coming next. Spider-Man, most beloved superhero of all time. So I have a strong feeling it could definitely get there, but I don't know. I just still feel a little nervous on the idea of like, maybe not, but No Way Home did have the power of nostalgia on their side, so there was that as well. So that could also be the case too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, this is my personal formula for Spider-Man Brand New Day making as much, if not more, let's say $2 billion, as a which is
because
would be more than the last one.
To answer Figure Drawing's question, I was more so focused on the MCU rather than Spider-Man as a character, because I was like, because the thing is, I was like so drawn to the idea of like what the MCU is at this point, and it's kind of been very hit and miss, and a lot of misses, and I just didn't think that even Spider-Man could bring them out of that hole. But then the thing is, I think what's helping Spider-Man is not just, Spider-Man being the most popular superhero of all time, because that could only get it so far, but I do think it also helps that within this year, it doesn't mean a ton because they're both TV, but you do have the high critical praise of Wonderman, and you have the high praise of Born Again. So I think that does help, and we'll see how Punisher does before, Spider-Man Brand New Day. I think that's looking to be very good as well. So I think that's kind of boosting it a little bit in addition to Spider-Man. And I think and with how people are disappointed in the DCU right now, Supergirl looking like Diet Guardians of the Galaxy, or Lanterns is more like Brown Lanterns, and then Clayface being the kind of like, hey, I'm here too. So I think with a mix of a whole lot of things, that's what's like now, like, okay, you know what? It literally everything I said doesn't mean shit. And it just means that Spider-Man is still going to remain the constant no matter what in regards to Marvel. How Marvel is, MCU is, and all that stuff. Plus, I also was like, there was the tainting of the, what was it, the SSU, the Sony Spider Universe, or whatever the fuck it was called.
Yeah, so, Sony Universe of Spider-Man characters, I think it was.
Yeah, whatever the fuck it was called. So there was that as well, so that was kind of a contingent. But I was just like, I just saw the failure. I use that term very loosely because it's not really failing. But like, I saw the kind of sort of failure of the MCU, and I was just like, oh, this isn't going to get anywhere. And then I'm like, Doomsday's going to make all the money because that's like nostalgia bait, member berries. People are going to be in on that. And then you're going to have like a Doomsday Barbenheimer type thing with Dune Part 3. So there is that's going to shoot it up a little bit. So I think that's why I was like, yeah, no way this is going to make $1 billion. No way. Spooderman ain't shit. He ain't shit. No, I'm just kidding. But like, that's kind of where my thinking was, at least.
Look, I kind of differ with you on that because Spider-Man, like you said, it can only take you so far. I mean, if Spider-Man's popularity can only take you so far, it could take you pretty far. Like, it's and like you were right that the Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield nostalgia of, all the Spider-Man coming together was a big part of what helped that movie, No Way Home, make almost 2 billion, but it wasn't the only thing. It was a good movie, well put together. There's a lot of character development for Spider-Man. It was the capper of a trilogy. It came out at a time when people were looking for like that next big post-pandemic movie, and we were all kind of wanting that, experience where we can like go see something together, get out. I mean, we were still in that era of trying to get out of the house and get some more face time with real people. Now, as far, I was gonna say before, my formula for Spider-Man No Way Home, as far as this summer's box office goes, if this summer, now the $4.2 billion box office number I was talking about earlier is the domestic box office, whereas when you talk about Spider-Man's box office overall, we're talking worldwide. So, like, if Spider-Man were to make $2 billion worldwide, which would, pretty exclusive company. The only other movies in that company are Avatar movies and Avengers movies. So and No Way Home was like a fringe member. Almost got there. Maybe we'll get there in the future through re-releases. But I think for me, and this is just based on my estimates and my understanding and all the reporting that I've seen. This is not through some insight from the studio or like from any official sources, but I think they've got all the pieces in place. For Spider-Man Brand New Day to make $2 billion, they need to have a kick-ass Hulk fight scene, because we know there's a Savage Hulk scene in there somewhere, because we've seen the toys and stuff. Now, that's not always a guarantee, because those toy designs are sent over pretty early, and they might have cut away some of that stuff later on in production, but they need one of those. So if you get a kick-ass Savage Hulk that we haven't seen in years now, even since before Avengers Infinity War, I think the last time was Age of Ultron? No, Ragnarok. So it's been a while. That would be great. Obviously, the movie itself has to work. Like, it can't be like, a dud of a plot. And the trailer so far looked good. They need to nail the Man-Spider thing, because if they're going to transition him to organic webbing, that needs to feel earned, and yet at the same time, it needs to obviously look good and, make sense thematically and all that. And they've hidden away some of their, like, they had not showing Tombstone yet in the trailers. If that hits and, you get a few other cameos, I will bet you real money that if this movie, and not if, I will bet you real money that between the Russos and Kevin Feige and Sony, they have probably cooked up at least one of the two post-credit sequences to be something the Russos shot connecting to one of the two Avengers movies, and just because of that scene alone, this movie's gonna like probably tack on an extra couple $100 million. If all of those things come together, then yeah, I feel like this movie could make close to 2 billion, if not over. I'm pretty optimistic. Spider-Man Brand New Day is as much of a guarantee as any movie this summer. I mean, probably the only, like, even the Odyssey, well, that's a near guarantee, because the Oppenheimer ultimately didn't make $1 billion. Nolan hasn't made $1 billion since The Dark Knight Rises. So Brand New Day is the most surefire $1 billion movie. And then on the domestic side, of that 2 billion, I feel like Spider-Man movies play really well domestically, but the last one still didn't beat the record of Force Awakens, which made almost $1 billion domestically alone. I think Spider-Man Brand New Day could probably get us to 600-700 million alone domestically, and then the rest internationally. So that right there, would be huge. But that's Savage Hulk, post-credit scene connected to the upcoming Avengers movies, a great story, land the plane on the Man-Spider thing. And ultimately, yeah, I mean, if there's a few surprises along the way, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, that sounds weird, to say, but like, look, yeah, I mean, it is a bold prediction, figure drawing, but if the pieces come together right, Sony's done this once before. I mean, I have a feeling they can pull it off. It could be the highest grossing movie of the year. I mean, that feels weird to say, considering it's Avengers Doomsday also coming out same year. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of put that out there. I mean, I feel like they're doing all the right things from a financial. I did want to point out though, Joe. Actually, I have a couple of questions for you. The End of Oak Street and Coyote versus Acme. They mentioned that they're predicting in this article. Actually, if you can, I don't know if you can keep that chart up. The End of Oak Street, they're looking at around 72 million. That's the Warner Brothers movie. And then Coyote versus Acme, they're predicting 42 million. What do you think about those two numbers? Do you think those are too high or too low?
I mean, they both could be decent. With End of Oak Street, you have some good name stars. You have J.J. Abrams, which I think some people still like, so maybe that's something. And it's a cool concept. And then Coyote versus Acme, I hope it's a success. I hope it's a major success to show like Warner Brothers, like, hey, people still fucking love Looney Tunes, and you were wrong to fucking sell this off for a fucking tax write-off. But I think 42 could be good. That would mean a loss, but because I think like Ketchup bought it for like 50 million or something like that. But I hope it's a major success, because then Zaslav would be fucking proven wrong that, oh yeah, nobody cares about Looney Tunes anymore, and the last thing we want is for Zaslav to be proven right. So yeah.
I mean, it's also, I feel like with Ketchup buying the rights for like 50 million to distribute the movie, they're relying on post-theatrical windows to get them there, so that's probably part of the equation. But I feel like that movie could do at least 50. The marketing so far has been on point, but it's still a Looney Tunes movie that's going to come out in the middle of a very busy summer of other bigger films. So, but this chart, I don't know, did you mention that, because this is significant. This is telling us how much money the domestic summer box office has put out over the last.
Yeah, I did
so
briefly
years.
talk about it, how like concurrently how this could bring about more along the lines of like pre-COVID numbers, maybe not better than 2019, but about on that level.
Yeah, because so far we're kind of tracking at around where 2023 is, and if numbers hold, the trend from the beginning of the year holds, we're kind of looking at somewhere around 2023, a little bit higher, which is the closest we've ever gone to 2019, and certainly 2018. Those were the years with Infinity War and Endgame. So I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe get real close to that 2019 number. There's a lot of movies coming out this year that feel like they'll be big hits domestically, and then they're keeping them in theaters longer. So like Project Hail Mary, for example, and the Odyssey is going to be playing in theaters for months. So yeah. Anyway, it's a good year for the box office, I think.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, in terms of box office stuff, we do have a little bit more specifics in regards to projections in regards to Mandalorian and Grogu. Apparently it's tracking for about an $8 million launch, which is like around the number for when it was being talked about a couple months back.
Yeah, 80 million. I'm surprised that tracking hasn't moved beyond 80 million. That's
like I think it was like around like 70 to 75 million, okay. And now it's like at about 80 million, which would still be like, if the projection is around this, even if a little bit more, it would be still the lowest grossing Star Wars film in opening weekend in history, since the lowest right now is Solo with I think 83.1 million, which is not great, but there's that. But yeah,
I was gonna say,
yeah, but in terms of like prediction of where it's gonna be, I don't know. Because the thing is, initially I was like, oh, this isn't gonna make anything, and then people were like, oh, but it's Star Wars, and I'm like, oh, it's probably gonna fucking make $1 billion then, and then now I'm just kind of like, I could see it making like 500, maybe 600 million. But the thing is, it's also Star Wars, so maybe it might be like a slow, like, if it's like people are like, it's pretty good, it's better than the last one, which is not saying much. So it's like, sure, why not? And then more and more people go into it, and then more and more, it gets more and more money, and it's like more of a slow sleeper hit. I could see that happening. But I could also see like maybe the height of like 400 million. Maybe 500 million.
If I was looking at these numbers at Lucasfilm, I'm like, this looks like a disastrous return to the box office for Star Wars as a franchise, because that like you said would be one of the lowest opening weekends, if not the lowest opening weekend for any Star Wars movie ever. Didn't Solo open higher? I think they have it in this article if you scroll down a little bit further. I think it's the next paragraph. It's okay. So, Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning debuted to 79 million. Solo opened to 84 million.
80, and yeah, I said 83.1, but I think it's like 84.1. It was like, I remember this specific, it was like 0.1, something like that.
But that's Memorial Day weekend. I mean, okay, so this doesn't have the benefit of Memorial Day weekend, does it? Is this coming? This is coming on Memorial Day? Am I wrong about that? Is the Mandalorian and Grogu kind of ends up being around that time, right? Hi, Jalen.
It's May 22nd. So
is that Memorial? I feel like that's Memorial Day weekend.
Well, yeah, Memorial Day is the 25th then.
Right, so that is Memorial Day weekend. So, dude, it's tracking to be about as much, if not lower, than Solo, and Solo was ultimately deemed a box office flop. I mean, Steven, you might be right. Look, here's the thing. There's two schools of thoughts on this that I have, and I'll keep it simple. One, Disney and Lucasfilm are looking at this as like, well, this isn't like an episode movie. It's not episode, what would it be, like 10? It's not episode 10. So it's Star Wars, but it's like, you know, Rogue One, for example. And, you know, we're living at a time when Star Wars hasn't been on the big screen in like almost a decade, not to mention all the ups and downs in between on Disney Plus. So as the product of that, you have to rebuild. It's kind of like DC with Superman. You had to rebuild the trust and that the muscle memory within your fandom to be like Star Wars is on the big screen again, everybody. That's one school of thought, where you could say, okay, so if we start off here, that's fine, as long as it has legs and it does well, and it's the biggest thing being the critics and audiences love it. You can set up a foundation for certainly more of these movies, and then also, Starfighter and everything else. Yeah, 2019 was the last time we had a Star Wars movie in theaters, so almost a decade now. Steven. So that's one school of thought. The other school of thought is, this is disastrous. We should have put in like a much bigger property to return Star Wars to the big screen, rather than basically, and it's kind of simplifying it, but essentially taking what would have been, they've said it, Jon Favreau has mentioned it, Pedro Pascal has said it, some of the elements of this movie were originally planned for a season 4 of The Mandalorian and on Disney Plus. Obviously, they've gone on and developed it a little bit and changed things around, because you don't just take the script and simply say, we're gonna make it a movie now. Where do you land on this, John? Do you feel like you're somebody who's like, this makes sense considering where we were, like the DC example with, we're kind of in recovery mode, so it's okay that we're going to be opening to potentially even less numbers than Solo, which was the only Star Wars movie to ever flop at the box office? Or should The Mandalorian and Grogu not have been the first Star Wars movie back on the big screen for the franchise? And
it should not have been, because it's fucking stupid. Because here's the thing. If it was like Mandalorian and Grogu, like at the height of its popularity, like maybe after season 1, then that would have fucking made money. But the fact that this is like being made, like 3 years after the last fucking season, and it's like, and considering the last season was not well received, it's just like, why are we making this? Like, what is the point of this? They're like, oh yeah, we'll do what popularity anymore? It's been like, quote unquote, off the air for like fucking 2 years. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, if this was like at the height of its popularity, sure, but like, I don't know, it just seems like a weird thing. What they should have done is just have this be a Disney Plus fucking exclusive of whatever, just having it being a streaming movie, because that's what it looks and feels like. It feels like a fucking streaming movie in a theater. And then just have Starfighter, aka a new original movie featuring literally me, Ryan Gosling, and the guy who just made $1 billion hit for Marvel. Yeah, do that. Sure. Yeah, I think I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying, like, it's so fucking weird that the glorious grand return of Star Wars on the big screen is a movie based on a TV show that looks like a streaming movie. Okay, weird plan, but sure.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with MTG, though. They've kept the budget lower than some of those.
$150 million is still big, and I'm pretty sure the marketing is probably going to be 50 to 75 million. So I would need to make at least 600 to like break even. So
John, I would guess higher. I would say they probably doubled that number on just the marketing. Like they're trying to push this thing pretty hard. Obviously, the Super Bowl ad and everything else that they've put out since. The one thing going for it here, look, if it makes 600 million or somewhere in that neighborhood, like Fig Drawing was saying, which is what Superman did, great, because that would be, in the black, it would be profitable at that point, just in theatrical alone. It doesn't need to get that far. I feel like even if it finishes around 400 million, this movie, from a Lucasfilm and Disney perspective, it has all the Disney, cornerstones of, different avenues for revenue and profitability. They're gonna sell the shit out of all the toys and everything around Grogu and all the other characters and vehicles, and so the merchandising is gonna make up for whatever the movie itself does in theatrically or post theatrical. That being said, I mean, from a box office standpoint alone, which is where Star Wars originally started, that's a situation where you gotta wonder, like, okay, if this movie, doesn't do over 500 million, does that mean Star Wars as a brand has, their box office potential just has dropped overall? Too small of a sample size, but, just off one movie alone. They are trying to do more than one of these. So I think this movie needs to be profitable theatrically for them to maybe justify a sequel or more. Other than that, I just wanted to mention that by week 3, I think if this movie is successful, it doesn't need to be just good financially, like MTG is saying. It needs the bigger thing, because I think that example of the DC effect, like where Superman rehabilitated the brand and made money too, but it mostly rehabilitated the DC brand. This movie needs to rehabilitate the Star Wars brand on the big screen more than making money. Even if it is somewhat, unprofitable, even if it's right on the edge, even if it's like Black Adam, where you just can't tell if it was actually profitable or not. Which, by the way, the economics of the two are kind of similar in terms of how much money they spent making it, marketing it, versus what you're predicting at the box office. Black Adam was kind of in the same boat. If the critics love it and the audiences love it, then I think this movie has done its job. They gotta know that, this wasn't going to be the home run $1 billion hit that, an episode 10 might have been. Starfighter, however, could be that $1 billion hit if this movie does well. I feel like if Mandalorian and Grogu does not do really well at the box office, or is, critically panned, or the audiences hate it, or it's like very mixed or divisive, that kind of puts a wrench in the year from now plans for the box office of Starfighter. Even with Ryan Gosling, I feel like that movie could struggle, because people will be like, well, we had this last year. So it's got a lot riding on it. I mean, Jon Favreau is a pretty good person to, put your chips on. He's delivered with Marvel. He's delivered for Disney before, so I'm sure he can deliver on Star Wars. I'm still optimistic. I mean, I still like Grogu. A lot of people will go to see this movie just for Grogu. So, isn't Jeremy Allen White in this? Like, he's playing, what's the character he's playing? He's somebody's gonna tell me in the chat.
I don't fucking know. I don't care. Could we stop talking about Star Wars now?
I was just gonna say there's and obviously Sigourney Weaver's in this too. So there you go. But yeah.
Hello, I'm Sigourney Weaver. Anyway, let's talk about real cinema, Dan. Let's talk about fucking giant monkeys. That's what I'm ready to fucking talk about.
Or
Godzilla, X Kong, Supernova. Here, I'm ready. It's so amazing that in such a fucking kick-ass cinematic universe came out from such a fucking garbage-ass movie, because I finally did finish the Godzilla 2014, and it's so fucking ass, bro. It's so ass.
Really? I mean, I thought it was good.
Fucking terrible. I'm just like, thank God for King of the Monsters was so much better. I haven't seen Kong Skull Island yet, but like pretty much every movie is just so much better. Like the first one is just like, oh hey, look, Mutos. Oh, by the way, Godzilla is in this movie that's called Godzilla for some reason. It's like, hey, you made a Godzilla movie. Don't be embarrassed that you're putting Godzilla in a fucking Godzilla movie. Why are you doing this? What is wrong with you? Anyway, now we're gonna get fucking our favorite giant lizard and our favorite giant monkey fighting against something. I would assume with the name Supernova, it's Space Godzilla, but we'll see. As the 6th installment, although installment spelled
by the way,
wrong,
John, quickly, doesn't Godzilla Supernova sound like an 80s song or something? Like, or like, it's
and it's fucking awesome, bro. This movie will delve deeper into the delicate relationship of coexistence and trust between humans and prehistoric behemoths. Meanwhile, the earth-shaking monster storm triggered by the epic clash between Godzilla and Kong, the two guardians of Earth's ecological balance, will once again sweep across the big screen. So pretty much a whole bunch of vague shit that, like, you know...
It doesn't tell you anything. I'm like, what the fuck does that any of that mean that is relevant to... You could say that about half of these movies, but anyway.
Yeah, thank you, Jalen. Yeah, I liked Godzilla versus Kong. I think Godzilla X Kong was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think the problem is I want to see other stories in this universe and not just like Godzilla Kong movies. Like I want to see other stuff. Maybe just a Godzilla movie, maybe just another Kong movie, or like I don't know, just other kaijus.
You know
like,
the problem with that is now that they have kind of crossed paths. There's always gonna be like the whole like, oh, but where are the other Avengers? Like any Godzilla movie, but there's like, but where's King Kong? So it's or vice versa. So I don't think they can really do that considering how integrated this world is.
Yeah.
Unless one of them happens to die or get expelled from the Earth or whatever. So.
Yeah, but I think I'm glad that we're getting both like stupid fun kaiju fights. But at the same time, we're also getting peak cinema with Godzilla Minus Zero. So we're getting both. We're in like golden age of Godzilla fucking content right now.
Yeah.
And I've heard Monarch is also really good. So there's that too.
By the way, bring back Ghidorah. Definitely. I was just going to say though, in defense of the 2014 Godzilla movie, it is from the era of we need to kind of like, ground things in a certain reality, kind of pull back a little bit, because 2014 is the year after 2013.
They're like, hey, they butt fucked Superman royally. Let's do that for Godzilla. Somehow it'll work, right? And it didn't.
Well, but you know what? It also you gotta remember the context of it was like the Hollywood, like most people's reference mainstream last Godzilla movie was the 90s Godzilla, the Roland Emmerich Godzilla. So they wanted to obviously go in a different direction. I think Kong Skull Island is really where this franchise picked up. That movie is still my favorite one in this entire franchise. And it just, it's everything that the Lost World should have been, Jurassic Park, Lost World, and then some. And it, even has Samuel L. Jackson between both of those films. But yeah, I can't wait to see how this... Here's the thing, Ron, I don't think they're going to be kissing anytime soon, but wouldn't mind seeing it. I wonder what baby Godzilla's up to, or like maybe he's grown up into a teenage Godzilla. I'd love to see that. They've kind of jumped the shark on this franchise such a long time ago, which is fine. To me, Godzilla times Kong, my favorite scene still is the fight on the aircraft carrier, which provides a much needed, sense of scale.
It won't be gay because he's wearing socks. Remember, if you're wearing socks, it won't be gay. So
okay, yeah. You're talking about the 90s Godzilla figure drawing? I thought the design for that was good. Anyway.
I never seen it, so I don't know. But anyway, very vague synopsis, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
And I hope they fight Space Godzilla because that's what it seems like they're kind of aiming towards, but we'll see. But yeah, last but certainly not least for Movie Talk Madness is more Project Hail Mary glazing. So IMAX hails PHM for quarter one boost amid tough comparisons with last year's Neja 2 Bounty. So yeah, I mean, way to go IMAX and way to go Project Hail Mary for being awesome, I guess. Sure.
Basically they were saying like, look, this time last year Neja 2's IMAX sales, mostly in China, did really well for the company, and I think they were releasing their financials, and basically the consensus, they were saying like the numbers are lower this year relative to last year because we didn't have, even with Avatar, Fire and Ash, and Project Hail Mary, which really did help. Like I think Project Hail Mary unexpectedly so helped them try to get really close to last year's number at IMAX. Ultimately, Neja 2 was, it was like a $2 billion movie at the box office, and a big part of it came from IMAX in China. So yeah, Project Hail Mary, good going, because IMAX, look, this is good. If they're in good graces with IMAX, that means the next time that book Artemis that they adapt, hopefully that will get a lot of play in IMAX. Maybe they can do an exclusive deal with IMAX like the Odyssey and Dune Part 3 has, where if they ever do a sequel to this, or Lord and Miller adapt another one of those Andy Weir movies or books, that they can put more of it, because IMAX is the best place to see this film. It's really shot well for the biggest screen possible. So yeah, but not big enough to go past Neja 2's numbers from last year, but I don't think they needed to, honestly.
But next up, we have, going from the big screen to the small screen, TV Talk Terror. We do get a little bit more in regards to the Scooby-Doo Origins show. We get some bits of Tanner Hagen as Shaggy. So we got a couple set photos, and honestly, that's fucking Shaggy, bro. That's just him. That's just him. Like, that is, I can't wait to see honestly, just when I think I'm out, Greg Berlanti, that motherfucker, he pulls me back in. Greg Berlanti, I fucking hate you with what you did to my favorite DC characters. You are a piece of shit. I fucking hate you. But yeah, you're pulling me back in with this shit. Fuck you, man.
I'm sorry, like a weird visual just went across my eyes as you said that. That's clearly not what you were getting at. But Shaggy.
That's just Shaggy.
It is literally Shaggy from the cartoons. Yeah, you're right. Yep. That's just Shaggy.
I mean, I don't like the weird, like, kind of fucking, like, 2010s Justin Bieber haircut they're going with, but, like, that's just Shaggy, bro. That's just him. Like,
baby.
I mean,
I can totally imagine him singing this, you know.
I will say the weird part about Scooby-Doo is, like, they always want to keep showing stories of, like, how they got together and became a team. I feel like we've gotten their origin story, like, 16 times. But, like, and that's fine because it's, you know, like, it's for a teenage audience, it's younger kids, all that. So they want to do, you know, stuff. But, like, I want to see, like, Scooby-Doo characters, like, when they're, like, kind of veterans, when they're, like, maybe, like, late 20s. I don't know, like, because the thing is, but the great thing about Scooby-Doo is that it's made for all ages, and you don't have to do, like, grim, dark, edgy crap to, like, make Scooby-Doo, like, good or whatever. You don't have to do it, and I'm not complaining about that either. I'm just offering a different, like, viewpoint.
No, I hear you, John.
This looks great. Like, this, like, from what little we've seen from the cast, I love Maxwell Jenkins in Lost in Space. McKenna Grace is fucking awesome, even though she has a horrible agent and keeps picking horrible movies. But, like, she's great no matter what she's in. From what I've seen of the Velma actress, I remember liking her. I remember looking her up and she's like, oh yeah, she was in that movie or that show. I remember watching something with her and I liked her in it. And this is his first project. This is what is it? Tanner Hagen's, like, this is, I think, his first, like, credit. So obviously I don't know what his acting will be, but I'm just like,
Tanner Hagen, like, no affiliation to Matt Hagen, by the way. Just
yeah. I think what's so interesting is, like, they keep doing, like, because they did, like, Pup Named Scooby-Doo. They did those, like, Cartoon Network did those original movies with Robbie Amell that nobody remembers except me.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
I remember those.
They did Velma, and which was another, like, oh hey, this was how we fucking started, and then it never got a resolution because the show sucked. And, you know, you have this, you have that, but, like, I kind of want to see them, like, maybe mid to late 20s, like, see how they're, like, going about it. And I remember reading an original idea. I have it on my phone. It was, like, some Tumblr post that I'm like, that sounds like a fucking great idea. I want to see that. I'll try to find it. But, I mean, again, this is not me complaining about the show's existence. I will actually fucking, if, like, the trailer looks good, the rest of the characters look good, the other set photos look good, I will fucking 100% watch the show, even though Greg Berlanti is the bane of my existence. But I'm honestly, this actually looks, because it doesn't look like it's doing the fucking, like,
I thought Bane was the bane
fucking,
of
like, overly edgy crap like Riverdale and Chilling Adventures of Sabrina were, which ironically McKenna Grace starred in. But this actually looks like it's, like, kind of embracing the fun aspects of it all. So I'd be willing to watch this, but, like, I also kind of want to see, like, the other side of the coin, where I'm just like, oh, where they're like been doing this for a while and if it's a successful business or not, or they're actually like doing this. So I'm curious like how they would do something like that. But I'd still watch the shit out of this because this looks awesome. And that's that's just Shaggy. I don't see anybody but Shaggy. That's Shaggy. That's my boy. Shaggy was always my favorite of the crew. So that's my boy right there. That's my G. That's Shaggy. Like I don't see no Tanner Hagen there. I just see Shaggy, bro. That's just him, and it's awesome.
John, I was just gonna say somebody should give this franchise back to James Gunn, who did write a couple of those movies back in the day.
It would be funny if he like directed an episode as sort of like a nod and a wink, like, hey.
Because I'm like, James Gunn's got the right philosophy on those origin stories that we have seen plenty of times, right? Like, you just, like, we don't need, maybe we do like, 3 years ago, the Mystery Incorporated gang, came together. 3 months ago, their new nemesis arose. 3 days ago, they lost
Shaggy
the first
got
time
murdered 3 hours ago. They got it.
They found out Shaggy was alive, and then Scooby-Doo lands in the icy plains of the Arctic, and then he was like Shaggy, and or like he was like Scooby snacks or Scooby stuff. I can't do the accent anyway. There it is. Yeah, give this to James Gunn. He'll get us to that point where we get the right balance between lack of an origin story and yet like quintessential first time outing with this. So
speaking of going back and bringing old people back to new shows, poor segue, but Scrubs! Apparently Scrubs has been renewed. So if you guys were loving the revival series, then they are in fact bringing it back along with Shifting Gears. What is that? It's Tim Allen's 1600th show that's going to get canceled after 5 seasons, and then he's going to come back in a new show, but be the same fucking annoying right-wing conservative character about how, like, men today are sissies and he has a big swinging dick because he believes that nobody has rights or something. I don't fucking know. And then apparently the Rachel Bloom pilot, Do You Want Kids, is not moving forward, but I didn't even hear anything. I don't think we even covered anything in regards to that. So yeah. So if you watch Scrubs, awesome. If you don't, sorry. If you watch Shifting Gears, all 3 of you, it's coming back too. Great. More Tim Allen. What we need. Like, okay.
I mean, I'm not watching Shifting Gears for Tim Allen. I'm watching for Kat Dennings. So,
I mean, that's fair. But like, you could just go watch Two Broke Girls. It's probably a better show anyway. Just watch reruns of that.
Yeah,
just go watch the Thor movies.
Sometimes. Yeah. Yep. Fair. I mean, this is I was gonna say though, like, Tim Allen seems to play the same character in a million. Like, he's just made a career out of doing sitcoms. Like, somehow that's just this thing. Too accurate, that assessment. So, I mean, the Scrubs revival though has been incredibly popular, so that's good. For
I mean, that makes it. But hey, some things are popular and then it gets canceled, so who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of good TV talk terror stuff. Not a lot, but good enough to talk about because now we get Shaggy, bro. Like, yes. But now we're going from Shaggy to Spidey because we're going to be talking about MCU Weekly now. Well, not Spidey. It's fine. It was a good segue. Shut up. Spider-Man Brand New Day, first test screening reactions swing online. So, apparently, because I believe Destin Daniel Cretton did talk about test screenings. I think I was talking about that yesterday, where he was like, oh, they've been positive, so that's, good. But then your boy John Campea talking about other shit. According to John Campea, the reactions were better than the studio higher-ups were hoping for and beyond excellent. And then My Time to Shine has also heard that the response was overwhelmingly positive. Grain of salt. It's always worth keeping in mind that these reactions are coming from a small group of people and shouldn't be taken as an indicator of how general audiences will view the movie. That said, test screening reports are often a lot more mixed than this. Studios hold these screenings to gauge how audience will respond, obviously, but also to see if any last-minute changes need to be made. Star Tom Holland recently revealed that the planned reshoots would add a little more humor and expand on a certain character's arc, so we can probably take this as a sign that Brand New Day is shaping up pretty well, at the very least. So...
yeah, look, here's the thing. This is good news. Anytime that you're talking positive about a movie that we want to all go see, it's good news. But two, like, I did want to point out, like, most test screenings, obviously by design, there's only so many people you can fit into a theater for a test screening, right? So even if it's like a big IMAX theater, you maybe have 50 to 100 or something like that. So just the sample size is small, so just keep that in mind. And then test screenings are always usually most of the time, unless it's very rare that the version of the movie you've seen in any test screening, however far along the movie is into post-production, it's not the final version of the movie. So the reviews or whatever, whether good or bad, are not a reflection of what the final movie is going to be. It's a work in progress, and I think, like in the case of John Campea, and then also even probably My Time to Shine, they have some sources because they've been doing this for long enough to like be able to get some confirmation. But like it's a situation where I would probably like take the I would take Destin Daniel Cretton's word over pretty much anybody else, because he's the director of the movie. So I'm like, he's the source. And I know like he's got no reason to say anything but positive things about the movie. That being said, he also has no reason to publicly say out loud that they did test screenings unless he's really proud of the reaction. So if a director is publicly talking about test screenings, that's usually a good sign, because otherwise they wouldn't even mention it if there was stuff to work, or negative reactions. The other thing is, usually test screenings are, trying to get feedback on specific elements of the film. I've always talked about this. Test screenings sometimes are about the crowd you will want to get a reaction of like, oh, what did the audience think about the third act? What did they think about this scene? How did they react to this character? Maybe this has something to do with the reshoots and they've added in some footage and they're trying to figure out like, did we by us trying to add more humor, because that might have been something that came up earlier in feedback in post-production, and then maybe expanding that one character arc, did that have the intended effect? And that's why you do a test screening. So all of that's said, it's a good thing that these are positive, like these reports are positive, but you got to keep in mind it's a small sample size. More people will go see this movie in the first hour of its release than all the people that would have gone to see all the test screenings combined. So ultimately the people will speak on it, and the trailers so far look good. It's good, but again, I'm not going to put too much stock into test screenings. We have seen really great test screening reports for really bad movies and vice versa. But I mean, I remember The Rock talking about the Black Adam test screenings, and he later on posted footage about it too. And that movie was a mixed bag. I'm not saying this is going to be the same for Spider-Man Brand New Day. I'm just saying, like take it with a grain of salt, like John, you said as well. So it's a good sign. We'll just leave it there for now and then wait till we get reviews and social media embargo lifts in a couple of months' time. So
yeah. Anyway, moving on. Daredevil. Okay, we have a Starbucks moment, ladies and gents. Daredevil Born Again Easter egg is either a genius nod to the comics or 100% a careless production error. So what could that be? Well, it's not a Starbucks cup, but apparently somebody left right in front of your boy Matt Murdock an omnibus of Daredevil Born Again. Like, bro, come on. It's from the Marvel Premiere collection, my bad. But it's the, Daredevil Born Again comic book, and it's just, there it is, right on the table, just sitting there, and it's like, bro, come on, how can you be that fucking careless? Come on, man. Oh, it's fucking it's hilarious. But you know what?
I mean, I feel like that, that's got to be on purpose. Like, I can't imagine that's something that's...
Well, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Why would you leave it there?
No, but I'm like think about it this way. Why, like, because it doesn't take away from your suspension of disbelief.
But in the context of the scene, it's not like in the background and it's blurry or something like that. It's in front of Matt Murdock. Why the fuck would Matt Murdock have a Daredevil Born Again comic book in front of him? I'm looking at it from a logistical sense in universe, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, at least with something like in the background or like a poster, and it's like a poster of it's a police sketch. And it looks like Matt Murdock from the comic books or Daredevil from the comic books, and it looks like a comic book drawing. That, I'm like, okay, that's fine. But, like, it's literal, the comic book is right there in front of him. Like, that makes no sense from a logistical point of view. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like figure drawing says. It looks cool. Like I look at it and if I'm an average fan, or like not an average, if I'm like somebody like Liz, for example, she doesn't read a lot of the comics. She loves watching Marvel shows and movies. I wouldn't know unless if I'm looking, because it's not very obvious. Like if you can put up the image on screen again, it's not really obvious in the shot itself that you are looking at that omnibus. You have to zoom in, and even then, I mean, obviously, if you know, but not everybody's gonna pick up on it, and those who do are clearly, people who this Easter egg was meant for. I think this is more likely an Easter egg, a cool Easter egg, than it is an actual mistake, because, I mean, Charlie Cox is actually a big comic fan of Daredevil. He knows his stuff. I don't think he'd be the kind of person, or all the other filmmakers, to leave something like this blatantly in the scene, especially because like these characters are like, it's in their sights. Like these actors will be looking directly down at it, and the director can see it straight up. Like it's the Starbucks coffee cup was like, it was so weird that they couldn't. I'm like, it's right there, but it's not. That wasn't like in between the two characters talking to each other. It was just sitting on the desk behind the characters in that scene. This, on the other hand, feels much more intentional. But if it is unintentional, great. They might have just realized later and then chose to leave it in because they thought this was great, as an Easter egg. Hi, Johnny. But I like it. I think it's a cool nod. I don't know, John. I feel like this feels more intentional than it is an accident. But yeah, I mean, you seem to think otherwise, but that's
yeah. I don't believe that for a fucking second.
John in Unforgiven would be great. He could play Morgan Freeman's character.
That would be problematic, but okay. Apparently, look, F1, Dan. Marvel teaming with Williams F1 team for Iron Man racing towards Doom comic book crossover. So, as we first revealed on FullThrottleHQ.com, the Atlassian Williams F1 team and Marvel Comics are coming together for a team-up that will see the iconic Formula One team go wheel-to-wheel with the Marvel Universe for the very first time. The comic book one-shot will be available with special edition event-exclusive variant covers starting at the Monaco Grand Prix in early June and on shelves at comic book shops across the U.S. in October. As of now, there's no word on the comics creative team. What the fuck even is this? Like, real... What is this?
Look, here's the thing. Williams historically is a great team. Williams of late is an ass team. So I don't know if I'd be bragging about a Williams crossover with Iron Man in the 2020s, but they're an F1 and racing towards Doom. Sure, it's a nice crossover. F1 is back this weekend with the Miami Grand Prix, so and then they'll be, in the thick of it as, I think the F1 season will be over by the time the movie comes out, Doomsday, but, across the entirety of this year and in the comics, it's good. Williams, by the way, Atlassian is one of their title sponsors, which is why you see that there as part of the name. But yeah, cool. F1 meeting Doom, racing towards Doom. Sure. It still feels very inorganic, but why not? So good for Marvel.
Sure. But Spider-Man Brand New Day, going back to Spidey, apparently promo art / Toys versus trailer confirms big change to the Scorpion's costume. So with this, got the Scorpion design. Yeah, so yeah, it's a shocker situation, unfortunately, but it's based off early concept art. So it looks like the actual tail in the movie doesn't look like this. I'm going to assume that, like many Marvel toys, it was based on a concept art provided to the toy makers and not the finalized movie design. So Scorpion had this mask and tail in the concept art, but probably won't in the actual film. So I will say I like the suit more so on the toy. Like, I like the mask, but I like the tail more so. Kind of looks like a Doc Ock kind of tail. So
yeah, no, it's just obviously, like they mentioned, the toy designs are sent. We haven't gone to the Lanterns talk, Johnny. We're getting there, but the toy design, the designs that the toy companies usually get are from like usually early concept art, storyboarding, that like pre-production, era, and then obviously Marvel is known for like changing things up and kind of evolving the design as the movie goes along in production. So I can easily see how the design, because you can see the Scorpion character design in the toy versus in the trailer for the movie is a little bit different. Not to mention, he might be wearing a mask at some point, and then it comes off. It seems like he's not wearing the mask in the trailer or any of the stills you've gone for the movie. But obviously, the original design did intend to include the mask, so maybe he starts out with it, and then as the fight goes on with Spider-Man or across the course of the movie, he loses the mask. So, the discrepancies in design between the toy and the character from the trailer so far, I think is mostly expected differences. It's not uncommon to see this kind of thing happen because, like I said, toys are usually planned in development based on early character designs, and those could evolve as the movie goes into production. So yeah,
indeed. But yeah, I think, as I said, I like the suit because it's more kind of like the comic suit, while the fucking tail looks like shit. Like, I don't even know what the fuck they were going with for this concept art. But, like, it's like, I get it's like kind of like a hydraulic thing going on, but it just looks weird. Well, here it's like a mechanical kind of like Doc Ock situation.
The hydraulics could still be in like internally. It's just
no, I know. Yeah. I just I like the suit more, but I like the tail here more. But because it's just like the thing I don't like is like, oh yeah, let's just make all the guys look like Matt Damon in Elysium, where he just has this weird suit thing. Or it's like I want him to like actually look like Scorpion, and here he's just has like a like shoulder pads, a vest thing, and like stuff on his legs, and it's just like that's barely a fucking suit.
I get it, but like it's also we've only seen limited footage, and then also the other thing you gotta remember, certain designs look better in toys or in the comics or on the page than on screen in live action. So it's like, and also it's not just because it's only a supporting character in the movie. You can't let the Scorpion design dictate the visual look of the film. Like, it needs to fit in with the vibe of the film more so than the other way around. So if that design ultimately is what looked better on camera for what they were trying to get at, then that's fine. I'm pretty sure most of that suit design is CGI anyways. They probably evolved it as the movie went into post-production. Like, they probably didn't shoot him with the big mechanical thing like they did with Doc Ock back in the day. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But more serious news, I guess. But Evangeline Lilly calls Disney's Marvel layoffs disgusting and horrible. Shame on you. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this in the past, so we're not going to dwell on it too much. But yeah, it was kind of dickish to lay off the entire AI network because, or the VFX network, because it's, as I said, I fumbled my words. But letting go of the entire VFX team because they're probably going to try and fucking replace them with AI because the new CEO is like super duper into AI. So,
well, I mean, Bob Iger was too, but
I know, but I mean, he probably would have done the same thing if he was still...
I mean, he signed the deal with Sora, which died just as he was walking out the door.
so yeah, eat dicks, Bob Iger. But yeah, it's just... it's...
His PR team will be in touch with you.
Because it's like... what was the fucking net worth for Disney last year? Fucking like billions of dollars? You can't spend a little bit more money on your fucking VFX team?
So, like, Evangeline Lilly did this... Basically, this story was based on like an Instagram video that she did, where she was like, I came across this other video, which was talking about how, roughly 8% of Marvel's workforce got laid off as part of like those 1,000, like literally 1,000 people got laid off in total. Of that 1,000 people, a vast majority came from the Marvel side of things, especially the Marvel visual development team. The Marvel visual development team is in charge of like character designs, just overall the look of these movies, the world building elements, what does Avengers Tower look like, early concept art, then later on like even working towards animatics for iconic, scenes from the comics translated to the big screen, like sequences that, we're like, oh my God, that's a comic book panel reference. That stuff comes from the visual development team. Oftentimes those things are in place before the director even gets hired for the movie. We have seen this in the past where I think even when one of the guys, Andy Park, I think it was, who was the head of the visual development team, he got as part of this got laid off, and he was like, look, I remember when we were trying to create costumes like for the Scarlet Witch, and we went in with the design to pitch to who was it, Joss Whedon for Age of Ultron, with like the more comic booky version of the character, and we were like, maybe we can get away with it, but they were like, yeah, Kevin Feige and stuff. We were like, maybe we need to ground this in the world of the MCU first, and then eventually we'll get there. And they did by the time we got to WandaVision. But like, that is the role of the visual development team. They are the ones who really have literally set the tone, including they designed the original suit for Wasp that Evangeline Lilly has worn in all of her movies in the MCU. So she was, obviously personally taken aback by this, and I think rightfully so, because she probably knew a bunch of those folks, has worked with them, and obviously feels terrible. I think all of us feel terrible anytime anybody loses their job. It's terrible, especially when it's like
unless they deserve it. But
fair. But like in this case, it's like Anthony was saying, Disney is really harsh. They have said that they're going to, or it's been implied that they're going to be, probably hiring more artists on a freelance basis rather than keeping them on staff full time. Again, pretty much the entire visual development department in Marvel got gutted. About 8% of Marvel's full-time workforce, which is terrible. Hi, Hosea. I mean, I don't know if after these comments, if Evangeline Lilly is going to be back anytime soon. Maybe she's already, shot her stuff for Doomsday or Endgame or Secret Wars, but who knows. But the point is, I mean, she's not the only one who's spoken out against this stuff. Like Mark Ruffalo is very vocal, and he's obviously still in the MCU. So, and Tatiana Maslany might eventually come back too. So she's not alone in that. But whether it is AI or whether it is, hiring people on freelance basis, I just don't think like you get the same continuity if those people are not there like on a full-time basis. Like they've been there for years working on this stuff. It's just not the same. And all you're doing, like you said, John, exactly, like Disney has billions of dollars in revenue, billions in profitability, and they've done stock buybacks and all that. I know they have a lot of debt to service, but like honestly, you couldn't afford to pay, I'm not even saying like the entire 1,000 people, but like even if it is 1,000 people, they got to pay benefits to keep them on staff full time, because they're literally the architects of the visual design language of the MCU that has, made your company billions of dollars, the most successful franchise of all time. It's, come on. I know Evangeline Lilly has said stuff about COVID vaccines before, so I'm like, she's not really like the perfect spokesperson per se. But nobody's perfect. I do agree with her on this though, that it is disgusting and horrible that they like laid off all these folks, and they can make business rationalizations, but ultimately this affects real lives and a lot of artists who put a lot of their heart and soul, like especially because I think she made a good point. She made a really good point. A lot of the power Disney has today in the marketplace is because of the power of the MCU, and a lot of the power of the MCU comes from the fact that the MCU's visuals have done everything to make those characters iconic, give us these, quintessential looks and versions of the characters that we all love, even characters that most people didn't care about that people now think are like some of those popular superheroes in the world, like Captain America, like Iron Man, obviously Hulk, Thor, the Avengers as a team, like more people know now than maybe even the Justice League. Nobody would have thought that 20 years ago. So a lot of that comes from the work and the, often undue, not even given its fair due and respect and appreciation from the visual development team. And she made the point that those are the people that created the power that Disney is now using to fire them and not look after their, those folks. And moving forward, I mean, obviously it's going to have an impact on how Marvel movies are made. But I think the human element here just is obviously in the era of AI just keeps getting downplayed and underplayed. We talked about this at length the other day. It's this paradoxical, cycle of people don't have jobs, and you're going to replace them with AI. Well, then how do you expect people to pay for the stuff that the AI is creating that you want people to consume? And it's like, there's like a broken cycle there somewhere. There's like something missing. And this is all part of that. And I mean, Disney... It's just, I mean, this is if this was like one of the first big moves of the new CEO, I'm a little concerned about like where things might be headed, because this was primarily done.
If this is the case, it feels like we have another Bob Chapek situation.
I mean, it's not that bad yet, but it's not a good start.
It sounds like it's kind of going that way. And then if that's the case, is Bob Iger going to come out of retirement again to fix things?
I don't know. You failed to pick your successor twice in a row. I don't know if I trust you to do it again. But Josh D'Amaro, basically the reason why all this happened is he what he did is he kind of restructured the branding and marketing of Disney to kind of streamline it, basically to kind of like, put it all under one umbrella. So they brought in one executive to oversee that department, and then they said like, we don't need all these different teams. We're gonna need like one corporate team that kind of handles a lot of this. And so a lot of people ended up losing their job. What that means is now you have people who are specializing in their different, parts of Disney, like Marvel, for example. They're not there anymore. So I do think it's going to affect negatively on the creative side. And this is definitely a direct impact from the new CEO saying, this is the way I want to do business rather than what was being done before. So if this doesn't work out in the future, you can firmly place the blame for this on Church tomorrow. And I think a lot of people already do. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement.
Yeah. Yep. Let's keep going. We got more Marvel
stuff to talk about. That's exactly what it is. Like, literally, Xbox has been like, she's been fucking the CEO, not fucking the CEO. She is the CEO. She's been that way for 2 months, and she's made like 3 genius fucking career moves. Like she renamed like Microsoft Gaming back to Xbox. They rebranded the logo. They are teaming with Discord. They lowered the price of fucking Game Pass,
that was getting like, really
in
bad.
this day and age.
That was getting really bad.
Oh my god, did I just come? You fucking lowered the price of something? Holy! And it was a substantial. It was like $5. That it was like 27 to like 22. Right. It was like, what? So it's like, maybe she'll make some garbage moves in the future, but for right now, all hail the new CEO of Xbox. Anyway, moving on to the last bit of Marvel news, we have some Wonderman stuff to talk about. So the Wonderman team talking about making a show for Marvel skeptics and season 2 plans. So
This is from so the Hollywood Reporter did like a front runners panel. So these guys were there. It was Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, obviously Wonderman. You had Destin Daniel Cretton, obviously the creator of the show, and then you had Andrew Guest. So they had Andrew Guest being like he's one of the writers. He also wrote like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or one of the writers on that show. So he was also one of the writers on Wonderman. So I think the 3 of them were there talking about this movie or the show. Which, this is a long interview, and we don't need to get into all of it. I don't know, John, if you read through it or not, but
I kind of skimmed it. But it was essentially talking about, Mateen saying, like, kind of talking about the world of Marvel and how, it worked, and I mean others as well. But
I like the part where he said, like, look, I wanted to talk to Kevin Feige before I took the role, and he was like, and then he like his reps were like, no. It's funny because the way he talks about it kind of feels similar to, like, it's almost like the Simon Williams character is Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, like in terms of like the vibe of like I need to, like, I've got my process and I need to make this and I'm a super fan and I like really prepare hard, and like if you've seen the Wonderman the show and you read this article, you're like, is there something meta going on here between Yahya the person and Simon the character? But ultimately, like, what he was saying is like I wanted to get a conversation with Kevin Feige before I signed on, and he said he's kind of referenced it as he asking Kevin Feige, I had $1 Marvel dollar, or I have $1 Marvel buck or something, like, do I need to use this now? I can wait. And he was like, no, I think it'll be totally worth it. And then once he did sign on, ultimately he was like, it was a great experience because he got to do a role that was, challenging for him as an actor, but also had a lot of the superhero stuff that Marvel is known for. So he felt like it was a good mix. He also talks about like an awkward Zoom call where like Sir Ben Kingsley kind of was like, if you want to make changes to this right now, then go ahead and make the changes, because once the words are in my mind, they're stones. And it's like, okay, so Sir Ben Kingsley is also literally just Trevor Slattery. It's like it's kind of hard to tell if like they're just like riffing on the meta nature or of Wonderman, or if it is like, they kind of put a lot of Sir Ben Kingsley and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II's real life approaches into their characters in Wonderman, which might be probably more true. And then they said, like, once we met up and did rehearsals and stuff and going through the prep for the show, that between Kingsley and Mateen II, they were both just, they had great chemistry, and which shows in the series itself. and they were advocating, in Yaya's words, for the two characters. It's just kind of meta when you listen, like if you read through this or just watch the video that they have on the Hollywood Reporters, I think also on their YouTube channel as well. And then the last thing, I think it was Andrew Guest talked about this, about season 2. They were like, they're currently writing, so they've got a writer's room running for season 2. But the big thing is, if you want to see more of what season 1 was about, which season 1 was very like subdued in the sense that it wasn't the big like third act Marvel fight sequence that you ultimately get to. The show kind of stays grounded throughout, and it stays focused on the characters. And they were saying, or Andrew was saying in this article, that that's going to be what season 2 is going to be about more. So if you're looking for the same stuff as season 1 and that's what brought you in, stick around, because season 2 will be more of that. If you think this show is going to turn into something completely different, which I think he was implying that, oh, all of a sudden now because he is Wonder Man, that we're going to see more superheroics and big action set pieces, then that's not what this show is going to all of a sudden turn into in season 2. There might be some elements of it like in season 1, but it looks like they're looking to keep the tone of Wonder Man more grounded in the version that we got in season 1. So I don't know, John, what do you think about that? I feel like that's the right approach. I'm just still surprised they're doing it.
I could see a lot of different. No, I can't scroll because for some reason my browser is like, I can't do that anymore. So yeah, I could see a lot of things working for this. I kind of agree. So yeah, I mean, I have yet to see it. So I promised I said I would, but shit gets in the way. But yeah, I think yeah, probably. Hey, we got to be hopeful, right? We got to be hopeful. So
I'm hopeful. Yeah, I think they'll do just fine. It's the same folks, and they're doing a season 2. And it looks like they did everything right the first time around. So I would trust the same creative team to get it right again. And listening to like Yahya Abdul-Mateen and his approach to everything, I'm like, okay, he is literally Simon Williams. Simon Williams is him, and Ben Kingsley is Trevor Slattery, and Trevor Slattery is Ben Kingsley. So yeah, Trevor Slattery. So it all makes sense ultimately. So I'm excited to see what it turns into. Season 2, I'm hoping we get it sooner than later, John. I mean, if you had to estimate, like, how soon do you think we get to a season 2? Because if they're only
in a perfect world, it would be a year from now. But I could see, with everything going on in the MCU right now, with how, like Secret Wars, all that shit, I could see, maybe being like 2 years. I could see 2 years.
Yeah. But I don't think, by the way, yes, there was a perception, Eric, that they put it out, all the episodes out at once because they didn't think it was good. That's an assumption a lot of people, and we made that assumption because usually that's what ends up being the case. Now, it could be true that Disney didn't believe in it, but I can't imagine that they looked at the show and were like, oh no, we don't quite see what's working here. Like, people at Disney also know, the people that work in the halls of Disney know what's good when they see it. And so I just thought that, when you look at the release timeline, if they did release it episodically, there's not a lot of substance to the show in terms of like, weekly, like, oh my God, did you hear what happened on Wonder Man this week kind of fodder. So releasing it all together kind of worked out. The episodes were relatively short. It's more of like a sitcom, like running time of each episode. They're not hour-long episodes. And season 1 did well enough that I think they're probably like, this works. And then if they had put it out episodically, I think it would have run into Daredevil Born Again's release schedule, so they didn't want to overlap there too. Hi, D. Cole. I'm optimistic season 2 will be just as good. I mean, Loki season 2 was pretty good, and season 1 was great, so the budget will hopefully go up. And I agree with you, Ron, on that, and hopefully that will allow them to do it.
What other Disney shows have gotten a season 2, like Disney Plus Marvel shows?
Well, Loki did.
Loki, you just mentioned.
Well, there was the What If has done multiple seasons.
Not a good example.
Well, I mean, it is an example. I'm trying to think what else. Well, Daredevil Born Again has multiple seasons.
Yeah. And that's better than the first because, first season 1 did have a lot of production problems because of switching the narrative halfway through. So,
and they kept some of those pieces. So this is more of a pure like one vision.
So I would say with live action shows, they have a decent track record because everything else is a mini series like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel. For now, Hawkeye. She-Hulk, like pretty much everything else has
Getting
been
to
a
that.
hit and miss miniseries. So
Yeah. No, I mean, well, and between that and Ironheart, which I thought was better than people gave it credit for, I hope they do a season 2 of that too. And Vision Quest, if it's any good, maybe they can do a season 2 of that as well. Moon Knight season 2 would have been nice, but I don't know where that is. Oscar Isaac certainly doesn't know where that is. Echo was another one that they dropped all at once, and that was, I think, something that they were like, they put it on Hulu. They didn't even put it on Disney Plus. So I don't know where that is, or if that's ever going to happen, to have a sequel or not. But yeah, it's hard to build new IP. I know Disney's kind of like Marvel's kind of going the way of like play it safe, bring back the 50-year-old RDJ and something to, to just try to run it back. But I think the Russo brothers also know, they're talked about how they want to they want to kind of set the stage for a more truer reset that we didn't get after Avengers Endgame. Or we did, but it didn't really work out the way that they thought it would. So, and hopefully Wonder Man is a part of that. I mean, Wonder Man is a breath of fresh air, despite all the smog in this picture we're looking at. I think Wonder Man was a breath of fresh air for Marvel, especially on Disney Plus. So, I mean, Agatha all along was kind of a sequel to WandaVision, but not like officially, but yes. I don't know if you would call it. It's not a season 2 to anything, but and Vision Quest is meant to be sort of a follow up to that. It's like a trilogy of shows. But yeah, Wonder Man season 2. I like this new era of Marvel TV. It feels more like TV and less like movies, guys making movies, but like just then releasing it as TV episodes. So yeah. I mean, sometimes it's good to binge something. Sometimes it's better to watch it all at once. Some shows will lean one way or the other. I just think now we're living in a world where you could make that decision as a production company, as a studio, as a streaming service. For Wonder Man, I think releasing it all at once was the perfect strategy because it brought the right amount of buzz, and the critics' reception was great. The audiences, and they found it.
Honestly, for the most part, Wonder Man got good reviews. Like, I think a friend of mine said it was like kind of a nothing burger, but outside of that, that was the only negative review I really heard from it.
Is that your sus friend, like, who's always got shitty takes on things?
No, I mean, I have. The thing is, like, it's funny because you can name pretty much any movie or show. I probably know someone that hates it. So I just have a very eclectic group of friends. I don't know what to tell you, bro.
That's fair. But we're gonna get into quick hits. Let's move on from Marvel.
Hey, you say Gen Z, the TikTok generation, but I would say I prefer weekly stuff. Meanwhile, my dad prefers binging stuff. Because, like, we've been watching For All Mankind, and he's, like, so fucking annoyed that we have to watch it week by week. And he's like, why can't they all just fucking do it on the same day? I'm like, I don't know. It's like, fucking, maybe they have more time for post-production. It's just fucking stupid. I want to binge it. And I'm like,
like, for a show that I really like, I would like to binge it. Like, literally, no joke, this latest season of Paradise on Hulu, season 2 of Paradise, I binged that thing back to back, front to back, in one night. That's what I did with the first 2 seasons of Stranger Things.
But sometimes week to week benefits. Like, you yourself have said, Severance. That's a hard movie. That's a hard show to watch. Like, binging it. So same with The
I
Bear.
almost wish you could.
Oh my god, binging The Bear is like at least season 1 and season 2. Like binging it, it was like, I don't have asthma. I need an inhaler. I feel like I'm getting a panic attack.
I know, yeah. Well, again, it depends on the show.
I feel like I have to talk like Mark Wahlberg after an episode. I found a transformer.
I'm a peacock, Terry. You gotta let me fly. Yeah. You gotta let me fly. I'm a peacock, Terry. You gotta let me fly. Like, anyway.
I think they stole my teddy bear. Like, that's The Bear with Mark Wahlberg. They're just running around. It's just a Ted sequel. It's just like, they stole my teddy bear.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. Yeah, at least with Wonder Man, you have the choice to, like, whether you want to binge it or you want to, like, do it in batches or one at a time. I'm currently waiting to binge the whole season of For All Mankind. That's kind of where I'm at with that. So, I'm also kind of trying to avoid, like, the post character era that's For All Mankind this season transitions into. So, that's kind of keeping me off. I'm like, anyway. in my mind, he's still alive, like, until I see it, like, anyway, without ruining it for anybody.
Anyway, The rich get richer, Dan, with that image of David Zaslav you love so much. Hey, it's a nice company you have there. It would be a shame if someone took it and gave it to a crybaby little bitch who used Saudi Arabian money to buy it. Bro, and brush your teeth. It looks like you fucking like chewed charcoal right before this image. God damn. Anyway, David Zaslav's pay package tripled to $165 million in 2025. The company disclosed the executives' pay Thursday with option awards tied to a new contract that incentivized the split of the company, driving most of the boost for the Warner Brothers Discovery CEO.
There it is. Zoom
He's
in.
such a fucking dickhead. Hey,
he's a TV executive
sucks,
if you've ever
right?
seen one. Yeah. So basically, what they're talking about in this article is his pay package. I mean, not only did it triple in value, but it seems like his updated pay package from a couple of years ago, which is currently in effect, literally was aimed at, you know, incentivizing splitting the company up to drive value. Like he stands to make more money. He's incentivized to do that. So it goes to show you that this was the direction they were going to go in. I mean, obviously, regardless of whether somebody was going to buy them or not, Paramount forced their hand, but they were always looking to split off the TV stuff. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of us would like to have that pay package, but it is what it is. I mean, you know, he's walking away with a pretty penny on top of all that with the sale to Paramount. So yeah.
Yep. Next
I will say they made a lot of good decisions with like under his leadership. Like Warner Brothers is in a better place right now as a studio.
He might
than
be a
when
dickhead,
they came, you know,
but
before
he
they
turned shit
door.
into gold, bro. Like 100%.
Yeah. I mean, he did it, and they paid down like $20-30 billion of their debt, which is insane to think about in 4 years. I'm just saying that's impressive. So that's some financial discipline right there.
But Avatar will be a whole different story and feature a time jump. I mean, if James Cameron returns the helmet, which he 100% will, I don't think anybody else is going to take it away from him. I think he's just doing other shit, and then we'll come back to Avatar. But yeah, I mean, we kind of figured that out with, you know, like he said there would be a time jump. There was like because they had to film stuff for Avatar 4 before the kids got too old. So
if you scroll down in this article, there's the name of the actress. She plays like the young daughter in the Sully clan. What's the name of the actress? She Trinity Jolie Bliss. So she's kind of been rumored for Jubilee in X-Men, which you also mentioned. Like, you know, it's great. Like, you must know something I don't, but like I've not been cast as Jubilee, but would love to. She started out, I think she was like 8 or 9 years old when they were first filming the second and third movie. Now she's 16. So we have heard before that not only do they have the scripts for 4 and 5, Avatar 4 and 5 already done, and you know different screenwriters were working on it than 2 and 3. We have also known, James Cameron has mentioned that there's a big time jump that happens between 3 and 4, and like the difference in terms of like the story and the scope is supposedly like the difference between the first Star Wars movie and Empire Strikes Back, which I'm guessing is meant to mean like the story changes, it's a bigger scope, you haven't even seen anything yet. And Trinity was saying what we have seen so far like is the tip of the iceberg of like what this world of Pandora actually, you know, is. I mean, I'm like, okay, sure, but she also did say like, they've shot a bunch of stuff already, and when she was much younger, and so the movie apparently would start with Avatar 4 with kind of in the same, like picking up almost where we pretty much exactly where we leave off 3, and then there's a time jump. So they've shot like roughly 22% of, which is a very specific number, but like that is from the team at Avatar. They've shot like 22% of Avatar 4 already. And so as far as like making the next ones cheaper and faster, I think 4 is scheduled for December 2029. They still have some time to make that date, but I mean, James Cameron, if you listen to him, he's ready to take a bit of a break before he, I don't know, John, do you think they're gonna actually make that release date?
Well, you know, it wouldn't be an Avatar movie unless it got delayed 3 billion times, so you know.
Yeah.
I think the only one that didn't get delayed was Avatar 3, if I remember correctly. So
right, no, you're right. No, and that's the one that ended. There's almost some wisdom in the idea that if you wait a little longer, that people are gonna want to see it more because they haven't seen it in so long. Because the shortest gap between the two movies was between 2 and 3, and 3 made the least amount of money of the 3 so far. So it might just benefit them to like wait a few more years. People were like wanting to see Avatar again. So
yeah. Next up, this is Adam Scott's on a bit of a horror kick, ladies and gents, because Netflix unveils premiere date first look photos for serial killer thriller The Whisper Man, also with ya boy Robert De Niro and Michelle Monaghan.
Yeah.
And honestly, this
Ethan
sounds
Hunt's wife.
cool. I'd fucking watch it.
Or ex-wife. I was gonna say, like, doesn't Robert De Niro look like Carl from Up? If they were to ever do a live-action remake of Up, I would like to see Robert De Niro play Carl. I would like to
Russell.
say that would be perfect casting.
Russell, what are you doing on my porch? And then it just shoots him. That's what Robert De Niro would do. He'd just be like, and then he's kicking him, and it looks like he's about to break a hip. But The Whisper Man follows a widowed crime writer who, when his 8-year-old son is abducted, looks to his estranged father, a retired former police detective, for help, only discover a connection with the decades-old case of a convicted serial killer known as the Whisper Man. So honestly, it's pretty typical, but like, you know, Adam Scott, like, we have Hokum, which I am seeing tomorrow, and then we have this. So Adam Scott's on a little bit of a horror kick. So
yeah, I mean, even Severance has a bit of a horror hinge to it. So yeah. Which, by the way, he knows the ending of Severance. They've kind of got that plan mapped out. So.
But yeah. Of course, we go on to the next thing, which is apparently streaming ratings. The Pit hits #1 overall for the first time.
Hey.
HBO Max hospital drama records its 8th straight week of more than 1 billion minutes of watch time. Way to go, The Pit. I still have only watched like 80% of the first episode. Not because it was bad. I watched it and then I had other shit to do and then I never went back to it. I swear it was good. I liked it. Don't be mad at me.
Yep. No, it's really popular, and season 3 probably on its way sooner than later. They're trying to do this yearly. I was recently watching a clip where one of the supporting actors, who might actually win an Emmy for this year, she just like randomly burst into Italian opera in the middle of an interview because Shauna Tosi, one of the other supporting actors, I forget the name of the actress, like he's like, you know, like show them like you could sing like opera, you have an operatic voice, and she's like, oh my god, and she just randomly starts singing, and it was like, oh my god, like in the middle of the interview. So very talented cast, and can't wait to see where this goes next. Season 3, I'm sure, will be even bigger, considering this has become like the streaming version of ER. So even more popular potentially. So yeah. You're muted. Sorry, John.
So I mean, it makes sense because this was supposed to be like an ER spinoff, and then the Michael Crichton estate was like, no, and they're like, okay, we'll make it our own thing, and look how it's blowing up, and I bet they're like, fuck, we just lost out on a shit ton of money.
All that royalty money, you know, it's all gone. Yeah.
But yeah, I gotta figure drawing. Why do you keep harping on this? Goddamn. Anyway, so moving on to the next thing. Blair Witch Project movie reboot adds original stars, directors to filmmaking team. Creators from the 1999 horror sensation previously voiced frustration over not being involved in the new film version that Dylan Clark will helm for Lionsgate and Blumhouse Atomic Monster. So here's the thing. I am of the selected few that actually fucking hates the Blair Witch Project. I watched it. It's just a bunch of bitchy ass teenagers crying and whining in the woods. That's it. That's literally the whole movie. The sequel tried to do something different. It tried to be like a meta commentary on the first one, but the people involved just wanted the first one again, so they were like, whatever. And then Blair Witch that Adam Wingard did was actually surprisingly good. It wasn't great, but it was pretty good. But yeah, I mean, this could go either way for me. I hate the first one. I respect what the second one tried to do, even though it's not very good. Third one's pretty good, so it can go any which way. But I can't imagine if it has like the original people in it, it's probably gonna suck. But you know.
For a moment, you sounded like Bruce Campbell's character from Burn Notice. Sam, he's like, "Oh, you know, spies, bunch of bitchy little girls." I have
never been more honored to be compared to Bruce Campbell, and that's probably the peak of my life. And I could probably just die a happy man now. Being compared to fucking Bruce Campbell's pretty groovy.
Well, if you haven't, just watch Burn Notice. Yeah,
I know. Like, I need to watch all the shows, Dan. I need to like have like a Groundhog Day moment where I'm just repeating the same day over and over again. And
I think a lot of us would want Groundhog Day, exactly,
and then watch like every show I want, or like just like be put into a vacuum, watch every show in existence, and then be plopped back where I was. Now I have all the knowledge.
Something interesting about Groundhog Day, if you were having a Groundhog Day moment, your watch history would reset every time. So you would need to remember where you would be in your binge. So something interesting, nuance to keep track of if you were binging using that time loop thing. So.
I would have to like remember, I would have to put like a post-it note right before, because you know how in Groundhog Day when it hits like 6, it like, even though they don't go to sleep or whatever, it just automatically goes back to him sleeping the previous day. So I just need to remember, I just need to put like a post-it note right in front of my face, and then like right when it hits that, I'm like, I'm on episode 16, like, and just like say that over and over again, and then like write it down. So
because your memory doesn't reset. So that's the key to Groundhog Day. Or Edge of Tomorrow Day. I don't know. Like, it's all the same.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But next up, Flat Earth TV series in the works at Vice Studios from debut novelist Anika Jade Levy. Now, I did read ahead because I'm like, no way they're making a fucking show based on
it's not what it sounds like.
Flat Earth theory, but no, it's literally just about 2 girls who moved to New York and are living the New York life, and that's literally it. Why is it called Flat Earth? I have no fucking clue.
I mean, but you look at the cover of the book, I feel like they lean into that whole...
Okay, per the Flat Earth synopsis provided by Vice Studios, the story follows 2 desperate young women, best friends Avery and Frances, as they navigate friendship, rivalry, obsession, and survival in a city that perennially produces young, hot, brilliant women with curatorial level taste, and then discards them when they've aged out of the proverbial pleated skirt. At the center of the show is Francis's experimental documentary Flat Earth, which takes the girls on a cross-country road trip where Red America and Blue America begin to look like different brands of the same competing hallucination. As Frances ascends in the art world, Avery flails financially and emotionally, and the nationwide Adderall shortage isn't helping. She dates men who hate her, including a liberal law professor twice her age and a reactionary young artist, before eventually taking a job out of desperation at a right-wing dating app called Patriarchy and sliding into a series of increasingly transactional relationships. As Frances becomes pregnant, famous, and impossible to ignore, Avery unravels, and the friendship at the center of the story begins to fracture. After all, they can't both be the voice of their generation. What the fuck is this? Like, this sounds like it was written by AI. Like, it grabbed every like fucking nail-biting topic and every trope and every single thing and just threw it into a blender to make the stupidest yet most controversial shitfest I've ever heard of in my life.
It's thought-provoking, because I mean it's hitting on a lot of themes, but like you said,
it's like, what is this even about? Why is it called Flat Earth? It's
like a generation. Yeah, the Flat Earth title makes absolutely no sense. I will say, it kind of like, when you started talking about it, it felt like, oh, this is like Sex in the City times 2 broke girls, but then like, oh my god, the story changes, and then an Adderall shortage in the middle of it all. It's like, it's almost like before AI, they had the what is it, like when you used to put the words together and then like to fill in the blanks and whatever that. I'm trying to think of, like, it's it used to be a word game. Where does Flat Earth come from? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to talk about this anymore. But anyway, last thing, Andy Serkis says Viggo Mortensen is thrilled with Jamie Dornan's Aragorn recasting from The Hunt for Gollum. It's like, woohoo, I don't have to break my back or break my toes kicking on metal helmets.
Well, I mean, Viggo Mortensen is past. I mean, like, if anybody was to tell me that Viggo Mortensen will come back to play the character again, I would be like, I'm kind of surprised. I feel like Jamie Dornan is probably better built for the physicality of the role today, like you just said. And I'm glad that Andy Serkis is clearing the air here about it's okay, you're fake. But it's that whole thing of, you want to recast for the moment, but you also want to get the blessing of the actor, because clearly a lot of fans were not happy that they're recasting Viggo. But I'm glad that this is coming from Andy, but I'm sure like he's not gonna like just make up the fact that Viggo Mortensen is supportive of this. So, yeah. Thank you guys for having my back in the chat.
Anyway, but that's it. That is it for Quick Hits. We're done. Here we go. Well, thanks for watching. Now we're gonna move on to DCU Daily. But thanks for watching the news portion of the show. And yeah, so let's get this. Let's be blessed.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
Hey, buddy, eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in the stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto. Hunka hunka.
Hello and welcome on into another episode of DCU Daily. Of course, we got lots to get into today. We're going to give you an update on Moggle before we talk about Moz, and then we'll talk about Lex, and then we'll talk about you telling us the reason why Lanterns was taken off, the trailer was pulled, and why it was brought back, and then pulled again, because of course over at HBO working on DC Studios, they like to pull our leg. So with that in mind, I've got John. What are you most excited about? Moz, Moggle, you, or like any of the other acronyms I just went into?
I'm excited to talk about Green Lantern, not Lanterns, but like the best Green Lantern, Jessica Cruz. So I mean, you have more green on than in the trailer of Lanterns. So yeah,
I mean, the new poster had like a dirt green
like forest
color to
puke, baby poop green.
It like it did, yeah. Victory indeed mine. Yeah, go Six. You know what? F y'all, man. Like, what is going on with the Celtics? And you know what? I digress. We're not getting into that conversation right now. But somebody, I don't know if you have it in the rundown, John, but like it does look like Injustice 3 is indeed confirmed by artist that's working on it.
Yay, more evil Superman stories.
But
woohoo.
Thank you, Johnny Dome, for that. Yeah, we have mentioned it before on the show in a different context, but yeah, let's start with some quick hits, the DC quick hits.
Yes, but apparently, so in regards to My Adventures with Superman season 3, apparently Jessica Cruz will appear in that show and will be, I don't know if it'll be like a backdoor pilot, but essentially it's going to be kind of like an introduction to her own show, My Adventures with Green Lantern, before she actually gets the show. So in regards to that, season 3 will also include a light cameo from Jessica Cruz, character who will headline her own My Adventures with Green Lantern offshoot that's in development. White is actively working on that animated series with Clover, but says they are still in production and are waiting on an official pickup. We were just about to ship our first episode to Korea for animation, so it's going to be a minute, he notes. So yeah, he does, however, give a little taste of what's to come. Our take on Superman is very obviously inspired by, well, this is getting into season 3 of Superman, and we'll be getting into that, but this is specifically about Green Lantern because that's all I care about, because
Yeah, the decade of Kyle Rayner humiliation continues, according to your fake. But I mean, it's good to see that Jessica Cruz will make an appearance in season 3 of Moz, My Adventures with Superman, before she gets her own appearance in Moggle, My Adventures with Green Lantern. Terrible. Did I say terrible? Terrible abbreviations. Because it makes me almost think of like Mowgli from the Jungle Book.
Great googly moogly.
Yeah, or like a cat meowing. Like, fuck these stupid like abbreviations. But the My Adventures with Superman is a great show. Do you feel like, because I think this all exists in the same continuity, so this is like a nice way to introduce the character, especially a lesser known version of Lantern, before you get to her own show, which it seems like it's still a ways off. Like, they're working on it. It's not really going to be, I mean, they announced it, but it's not like it's going to be here next year. It seems like that's still a ways to go.
Yeah. But in terms of, specifically talking about My Adventures with Superman, it does set the season 3 premiere date, and apparently the new poster teases Reign of the Superman. I mean, we knew it was probably going to be that because they did say that Superboy was going to appear in season 3, just like how they introduced Supergirl in season 2. So, it seems as though My Adventures with Superman will return for its 3rd season on Saturday, June 13th at midnight Eastern and Pacific time as part of the Toonami anime action block. Episodes will be available to stream on HBO Max the following day.
So, nice. I like Toonami.
But, so showrunner Jake Wyatt teased the direction of the new season. What would we do with that premise now? It's less death of Superman and more about what's a Superman. The fun thing about Reign of the Superman is that it's all about these imposters who have the same power but different values. Superboy can't just push Clark's buttons, so Superboy's been adjusted to be more relevant. Oh boy, when they say more relevant, that's usually a big old red flag to all of our characters. He is going to embody the tension between the hope in the present and fear in the future. He has the writers and the artist's favorite character for the season, and we're going to complicate him a bit over the course of it. So, yeah.
I like it when they complicate my characters. I like my characters complicated.
I know authors that use subtext, and they're fucking cowards. Anyway, so
But, the way they're talking about this doesn't sound the best, but it's an animated show, so I'm like, whatever, it's like it's only. Goes so far.
And then this also talks about My Adventures with Green Lantern, but we already touched about that.
Mogul. Yeah. What do you think is the better or worse acronym, Mogul or Moz?
Mogul. That sounds weird. Moz is like, yeah, it's quick. Mogul, like it's 2 syllables. It sounds weird. Yeah.
I can't Moz to be moggled,
But yeah, so we have some My Adventures updates. I do hope we get more. I just can't bring myself to watch this show. It just looks like everything I hate about anime and like modern like Gen Z crap culture.
I like the look of the old animation that DC used to do, which didn't
like
feel
the
like an
Timverse and shit like that.
Yeah, like I don't like the well, I was gonna say low budget anime, but like anime is low budget, so I don't like the knockoff anime look.
Yeah,
the show is good, but
it just feels like that they're like, how do you do, fellow kids? We also like the anime because they also did Suicide Squad Isekai, and then they also did.
How do you do, fellow youth? Yeah,
it just feels like that to me, and it just I don't like the look. I don't like the vibe. I just don't like any and again, Deathstroke. They made Deathstroke like a himbo for some reason. They made Lex Luthor a twink for some reason. Then it's just, I don't know. It's just weird to me. The only reason I'm watching My Adventures with Green Lantern is because it's the first like major. I mean, yeah, Justice League versus the Fatal Five did have Jessica Cruz, but like she had such a small role and she was kind of a nothing character in that. And plus, I heard it was bad. So, My Adventures with the Green Lantern, like I want to watch it because like Jessica Cruz is finally getting some love. Like I love that, and I love that character. So I will watch it even though I don't like the vibe and I don't like what they're doing. But like I'll put my hatred aside just to see how it is. I mean, if the show sucks, I'll stop watching. Like if I get 2-3 episodes in and like it's bad, then I'll be like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna stop watching.
Yeah. Well, it's not out yet, so we'll wait and see how it turns out. Teen Titans, that's a good style of animation. With Ben 10, I like Ben 10 when it was around, and I mean the Teen Titans Go look, I'm still not entirely sold on. I prefer the OG Teen Titans, which looked more like the rest of that era of DC animation. So, yeah. But yeah, let's keep on rolling here with the DC quick hits. The Parrots, Ducks, Pelicans of DC news.
But Lex may be the smartest man in the world, but he's still always learning. The first thing you should learn though is how to spell forward. James Gunn already shared. We already talked about this.
No, can you click on the image for a second?
I can't click on the image because now Twitter apparently you can, if you unless you have an account, you can't fucking click on the image anymore. So
really,
yeah,
God,
I tried.
That's so weird. Okay, I was gonna point this because I don't think we pointed this out the other day. Let me see if I can find this image. It's I don't know if I can share it here, but I thought this was hilarious.
I think I got it. I just had to
zoom into the book cover, and then we'll go back to the James Gunn comment. In haunts, please.
It just looks like I can't. It's
oh wow, okay. So basically what it says down there in the image, it says forward by
somebody.
Forward by Boris Walniks, which is meant to be like the leader of that what's the country that Hawkgirl, kills him in, or like he's president of anyway. Boravia. He's the president. Boris is the president of Boravia. So it says forward, and it's FOREWARD, forward, like FOREWARD, which is not the right spelling of forward.
Yeah,
it's meant to be like the forward to the book. No, it's FOREWARD. It's not the right spelling.
Wait. Hang on.
Yes.
Wait, so it's spelled on the book FOREWARD?
Yes.
ARD?
ARD.
Okay. For a sec, I thought you said because then you said FORE. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's how it's spelled.
So no, WARD is how it's spelled on the book cover. It's actually meant to be spelled forward. There's two O's.
Okay. Sorry.
And then the funny thing about what James Gunn said is like he just kind of clowned himself because he's, in parentheses says the first thing you should learn though is how to spell forward, and he spelled it wrong too, because I'm like, that's a different forward as well. James, you're clowning yourself like an idiot because some dude in your art department didn't get it right, and then you fucked it up yourself too. Like, somebody tell James Gunn how to spell forward, because that's the wrong forward.
Because you said it so fast, I was like, oh yes. Yeah, it's FORE, and I was like, yeah, fucking James Gunn got it wrong. And then I didn't hear the rest of it, so I was like, "Oh yeah, no, that is."
I mean, James Gunn got it wrong.
I know how a forward of a book is spelled.
Right.
James Gunn doesn't. So
yeah, it's not forward. It's not forward. It's not forward. It's forward. Like, like there's a nuance to it. So
yeah.
James Gunn got it twice. Got it wrong twice. Yeah.
Let's move on to Lanterns talk because I want to. Yeah, you're still talking about it.
I know it's not a big deal. We're just making it a quick hit. That's why it was a quick hit, but whatever.
But funny. James Gunn himself has confirmed the premiere date with a green new teaser images. They're really doubling down on the green thing. But this is Beware My Power, Green Lantern's Light. Lanterns premieres August 16th on HBO Max, and you can see the full image here. And we just see a hand. We don't see whose hand, but to be fair, Aaron Pierre is very light skinned. It's kind of shadowy, so we don't really, it looks white, so I assume it's Kyle Chandler's Hal. However,
I want to say because he's the one with the ring. By the way, it releases August 16th, Anthony. That's the release date.
Right. But also, there's the idea that it's been stated that, that Alan Scott is the person whose murder that they're investigating. So some have saying that, this is his lantern. So obviously we'll see if that's the case.
Because the thing is, you see,
because the thing is, this lantern doesn't look like this cool, like, say what you will about the 2011 movie, that lantern looks like a lantern, but at the same time looks like fucking space age alien technology. So I think they really got it right there. Here it just looks like a cheap fucking thing that they picked off of a fucking prop set and like, we'll use that. So with that, with how like oldie it kind of looks, it makes more sense if this was Alan Scott's Green Lantern. But it's just
Well, we've seen it in the. Do we have? I think we still have the stills from the infamous teaser trailer for Lanterns, and let me see if I can go back to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have it pulled up somewhere. It might have been way too long ago for us to have it still loaded up. But I remember there was a still in the actual teaser where you see somebody holding it. I forget.
I think it's Jon Stewart.
You think so? Like it's at that point, because let's see, lands. Okay, here it is. So I'm gonna bring it. I have to kind of like re-upload it into our system. But I was just gonna get to that image because in that image you can kind of see the whole thing, whereas here you're getting a zoomed in version. Lantern to green, unlimited power. Yeah, well, I don't think it's too green. I don't think green is a problem. Well, we've looked, when you look at the whole thing, it does, like, there's something to be said for less is more in some ways. I don't know if that's the case here necessarily, but again, it's still too early for us to really be able to tell. This is that same lantern in more of a fuller view, John, and not really lit up. It just seems like it could work really well in the context of the show, and then again, maybe this is just the Alan Scott version, and as we move forward, it will, they'll move away from this. But
it just looks so small and cheap looking. It looks like something that like the 1940s Green Lantern would use. It doesn't look like something like...
Isn't that more like accurate to the Alan Scott version though? Like it's kind of staying true to that. Because I'm saying like they'll probably modernize it. It's also more low key, like in the literal sense.
Because the thing that I could
version.
see the thing I could see working is like maybe like I could see a couple different things. One, Hal on the brink of retirement doesn't have his lantern anymore for whatever reason. So he just fucking straight up doesn't have it. So so he has to, and they're like, and the Guardians are like, hey, you gotta train this guy, but you also have to investigate this murder of this other Green Lantern that was not part of the Corps, but like he was Green Lantern, so you can use his lantern. Cool, great. Or Hal Jordan has his own lantern, but considering that John doesn't have his own ring, that maybe when John, like, Hal temporarily gives him the ring, he's like, well, I'm not giving you my lantern. This is my lantern. So he has to use the Alan Scott Green Lantern, and then eventually that becomes his lantern, and it's given a better, more modern kind of look to it.
Yeah, like, and in your Power Rangers tradition, you get an upgrade. You become a super Green Lantern, or like,
no, an extreme
Green Lantern. Yeah, that's what Aaron Pierre is gonna do. Jon Stewart's gonna be totally like, let's get extreme. Yeah. Speaking of development, character development in this case, extreme character development. But anyway, John, I'm okay. Oh, we're just fighting back and forth on that. I'm okay with James Gunn sharing this photo. It is certainly a lot greener than the other stuff. I don't know if this belays our concerns, but sure. I mean, James Gunn can share any photo. I will take it. Clearly, we'll eat it all up.
But there is still one thing. This article links another article about explaining why the teaser was removed, and kind of going off of what I was saying the other day. And yesterday,
bless you.
It's apparently explained here about how the HBO teaser returns online after music license issues, and I believe it's also the second time that was also why it got pulled.
Yeah.
But after much fan and press speculation, EW has learned an expired music license was the reason for the trailer's absence. HBO's Lanterns trailer made a return online this week after it was quietly removed from the internet. It was taken down because of an expired music license. EW has learned the show now has a confirmed premiere date for this August. So this was kind of going into more of a detailed look as to why it got taken down in the first place. Not necessarily the second time around, but it did get taken down.
That's more of a mystery still, like why.
I assume it's still because of an expired license.
Maybe it's still, to me, the Q&A process for all this should be like much more advanced, and like there should be more layers to like self-correct and quality control and quality assure your work, because I don't understand how they had to take it down not even twice. I'm like, just the fact they had to take it down once. I don't care if the song is it doesn't matter like whether the song is boring, good, or whatever. On a professional production, like, you know, level, for something that is being marketed through HBO, like this big show that every, you know, hundreds of millions of people around the world will get to see, how do you get this so wrong? Where, I mean, what was the last time? Well, thank you, Ron. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining in. Hit the like button on the way out. But I was gonna say, like, how do you mess it up where you picked a song that was part of the trailer that the license then expires on? Like, you gotta like button this up. Like, where is the legal team at HBO, and why the hell were they not consulted on this better, and kept in the loop? And then they took it out once for that. They changed it up, and then they did the time. Thank you, Ron, for doing that. But you know, they took the time when they took the trailer down to then upload a new version with the actual release date, which I have a feeling they probably put that out a little too early. And that's why they probably took it down again, because they were like, wait, we weren't meant to put out this like updated version, almost like it was meant to like wink wink replace the old version without you noticing. They probably wanted to make it more of an event, and now that, you know, they let the cat out of the bag, I'm sure people already pulled it down and downloaded copies of that version off the internet, so the internet always remembers. And I get the whole, like, if it's a licensing for other countries and whatnot, M2G, I work in this industry, so I understand all that. I just still think, like, there's like, when was the last time, John, that we heard something like this happening, especially for something on the level of HBO, right? Like, it doesn't, to me, it still, you know, reeks of incompetence on a certain level that we would not expect for a show of this magnitude, and what this means to the DCU, and what the DCU means to Warner Brothers at large, which is in the process of currently being bought by Paramount, in large part because of the value that the DC characters bring to the company, that IP. So it's just the latest botch and stumble in a long line of, you know, misses in the marketing campaign for Lanterns, which makes you wonder, like, are they going to ever get their act together? We have talked about before that James Gunn is not as directly involved with this because he's more focused on the movie side. Obviously, he's currently filming a whole movie that's going to be the big summer blockbuster for DC next year with Man of Tomorrow. So he's kind of very hands off on this, and HBO tends to market their stuff themselves more so than, like, you know, having DC Studios do it. But you got to do better, HBO. And, you know, even if DC Studios is not as directly involved, like Peter Safran, like, you got to, like, you know, like, this can't happen again. Like, it happened now.
So apparently,
sure,
by the way,
but,
the trailer is back, but it's the original version.
You mean like so they re-licensed the song, like, and so
yeah.
So there you go. So the original version of the trailer is back, and so that confirms what I was saying. They probably weren't gonna put out the updated version with the actual release date. Either that was the wrong release date, or they, you know, let that cat out of the bag a bit too early. So now they've gone back to the other one once the license has been renewed, which is, again, it's marketing incompetence happening in front of the fans, and we can call it out because that's the world we live in. I get it, nobody's perfect, but I'm like, you got to do your due diligence on this shit. If you're gonna put out a trailer that has a song that is a licensed song, you better know that you are covered for the period of time that you're gonna need that trailer to be up and out there in the world, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And if you're gonna release this, you know, for a show that's gonna air worldwide in many countries, you better get that clearance ahead of time. This is probably because somebody, you know, like they might have been reached out to by the owners of the track, like, you know, the rights to the track, and then they made this change. And
yeah,
it just speaks to, like, a lot of, like, you know, high level and, you know, mistakes
being
made.
It looks like they replaced the entire audio track, like, because like the whole thing had, because I was just watching the trailer. Like, you can see it here, like it's on here,
right?
But it looks like that, yeah, they replaced the whole audio track, and the audio mixing is a little bit off. But it seems like, but technically, like, it's still the original one, because it says 1 month ago, 2.7 million views, and on my personal account, it had like, oh, this is where you left off. So
yeah,
it
because
definitely
you can replace
like
the audio track on YouTube, so they're probably like without re-uploading the video. We know, like, most of the other social versions were not even taken down, so it might have been even like localized issue to YouTube or something to that effect. But it's like, so what about the version that they uploaded the other day? That was a different asset, right? Like that had the release date, because now this one doesn't have the release date at the end, unless it did. You check if you go back? Like, does it actually tell us like August 16th, or does it just say August?
Hang on. No, it says August 16th.
No, okay, so this is an update. So I mean, if you're a YouTube,
but how the fuck do they update it? Because it's the same video.
So, right, and I agree with you, Terrence. They need to do better. So basically, what happens is when you're a YouTube partner at that corporate level, you're not only able to replace the audio, you can really replace the entire version of the video. Like, so this is a new video. This is a new audio. Us creators can't have that at level of access. But when you are at that level, like you're
not important enough. All right.
Yeah, okay. It's at that corporate level partnership. So I've seen this before. So this way you retain all the watch time and everything from the original.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, when you have a Dropbox or something, you can do file versioning and it remembers the old versions of your file, except it's on YouTube. Then you can kind of re-upload it and that be like the latest version, and it will keep the watch history and everything. So, but still, I still feel like this is, problems like with the marketing campaign playing out in front of the fans. It's just not good for the PR and the public perception of the show, which has he's stumbled out the door, and they keep stumbling their way through this. I just, at this point,
fumbling, bitches always be tripping.
Yeah, I would love to just get like a fresh like trailer that kind of like clears the air, but not to mention that now like the August 16 date drop didn't have any like fanfare around it. It's just like, oh, by the way, the new trailer just happens to mention August 16th. Okay. And like, obviously we're talking about it and the internet will get the information out there in the world, but I feel like they should have done that like with a new trailer release, or like done Aaron Pierre does another social announcement or something. There's missed opportunities here to hype up the show. But yeah. Yeah, that's how artists update the HD 4K music videos and keep the old stats. Exactly, Eric. Yeah, when you're at that level, yeah, YouTube partnership like comes with different kind of benefits. So I know none of this changes the quality of the actual show. I'm just saying it's that idea of you put out a great marketing campaign for a movie, more people will show up to the movie. If you don't, it doesn't matter if the movie's great or not. Blade Runner 2049, nobody went to see it, and now it's got a cult following, but like in the moment it was a flop, so we all want the show to succeed. So I think the marketing campaign matters for that, because it's meant to bring in more of the casual audience, because the hardcore fans like us will show up regardless. But John, actually, the last question, when do you think the next trailer does come out? Because if it is coming out on August 16th,
hopefully soon, and it'll actually have green in it.
Yeah, like I hope so too. I would bet that probably no later than June, sometime mid to late June, we're getting a second trailer. They're probably not going to release it anytime between now. They're going to wait on it for a month or so, because like this whole thing now that at least we got some new information. So anywho, that's the latest update from Lanterns, and my ranting about it. From Moggle to Moz to EU and Lanterns and everything in between and forward, figure out that spelling, everybody. If you're going to show that book prop in the new movie, James Gunn, it's spelled FOREWORD. Forward. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button, do all the good stuff. Anything else you want to add to that, John?
Yeah, I do want to add something.
Another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chorus.
Right there.
Hey, buddy, eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto. Hunka hunka.
Fuck Tom King, Crybaby Ellison, and Jeff Snyder, everybody. Let's go fuck them all with a big old cactus trap on you.